My name is Arpan Banerjee. I am a research scholar at the Department of East Asian Studies, University of Delhi, and academic counselor here at IGNOU. And I have been teaching you the paper Logistics Management. The code of this paper is BPAS 184. So I welcome you all to today's learning session. So let us begin our class of this paper, Logistics Management, BPAS 184. So let us see what we've discussed so far in this paper. So we've so far been discussing the first block of this paper. The first block is pertaining to introduction to logistics management. So it's a introductory block, and as part of the first block, so far we've discussed 3 units. We were almost done with the third unit. So in the first unit we discussed the concept, principles and forms of logistics. In the second unit we had discussed the conceptual framework, scope and importance of logistics management. And in the previous class we were discussing the third unit, which is pertaining to logistics and supply chain management, the interrelationship that is there between logistics and supply chain management, that we are discussing. And as part of that, we have discussed almost the entire third unit. We were just left with the challenges that are there in logistics and supply chain management, and so we will finish that unit today, and then we'll be discussing the fourth unit, which is logistics management cycle. So let us begin from where we left in the previous class, that is the challenges in logistics and supply chain management and the interrelationship. So in this unit, that is logistics and supply chain management, the interrelationship between the two, we were discussing the challenges in supply chain management. So one very significant challenge that we had discussed in the previous class. So as we all know, we had discussed in the previous class that supply chains are an integral part of the economy, and new supply chains and processes are being created every day. The supply chain opportunities are expanding from global sourcing of goods to distribution, sales and fulfillments, touching all areas of supply chain management that we've discussed in the previous class. There are certain challenges which we were discussing. As part of that, we have discussed the first challenge, which was pertaining to manufacturing. So we had discussed that the supply chain, it begins with the process of manufacturing and it ends with getting the product into the hands of the consumer. So the production department is responsible for coordinating production schedules, determining how long the manufacturing process of a product will take, and keeping track of the inventory of finished products. So the material analyst keeps track of inventory and material schedules and coordinates materials with production schedules. Now the second challenge was pertaining to data analysis. So data management by data analyst, data acquisition engineer, data manager, data administrator or statistician is a key component in supply chain. A proper understanding and analysis of this data helps supply chain supply chains work efficiently. In fact, data analysis sorry and management are vital within supply chain management, since all the processes involved in serving customers effectively have to be data driven. The next challenge is pertaining to procurement. Procurement, focusing primarily on identifying and purchasing the raw materials needed to create products, is a key part of what keeps supply chains going. So there is a wide range within this, from procurement analyst focusing on one specific aspect of purchasing, to purchasing managers who oversee the purchasing decisions for an entire organization. The next challenge is pertaining to transportation. Getting products into the hands of consumers is the main goal of a supply chain, and meeting this goal is possible through transportation. This is the responsibility of transportation analysts or logistics analysts under a transportation manager, with primary focus on getting products from the factory to the consumer. The next is pertaining to customer service. Always a crucial part of any interaction between a business and a consumer, customer service ensures that customers are satisfied with the products that they are receiving. So customers should be satisfied with the products that they are receiving. That is a very crucial aspect. Now, as we know that there are many roles, from account specialists at a logistics firm working to coordinate product shipments and resolve customer issues, to a customer service manager overseeing the satisfaction of a company's entire client base. Innovations in supply chain management imply making a business more efficient by improving the way inventory and logistics are handled. So the challenges are to be transformed into opportunities. That is the entire objective. Now, how can the challenges be transformed into opportunities? The first way to do it is through predictive analytics and machine learning, which are emerging in today's tech driven world, especially in the area of information and communication technology, ICT. Big data can predict outcomes from various supply chain scenarios, and it can also make recommendations and manage the supply risk which exists. The second is pertaining to corporate cards to streamline supply chain payments. These automated payments make supply chains more efficient by reducing processing errors and eliminating invoicing. These are streamlined and more secure. In current times, these have more acceptance. The third way in which challenges in the supply chain management area can be transformed into opportunities is through strategies outside current boundaries. So many companies are introducing innovations in the supply chain by focusing on what improvements they can bring about in their current partnerships and arrangements. So these companies, they need to forge new arrangements within their supply chain to improve productivity and meet their targeted benchmarks. The next is pertaining to improving operating techniques. So most companies look for their latest high-tech supply chain management tools to make their supply chain division more effective. One way that many supply chain professionals have been able to improve efficiency is through imbibing the Japanese philosophy of business improvement known as Kaizen, a process philosophy that emphasizes framework, lean manufacturing, and allowing the employees to provide inputs in the process. There are 5 key elements of Kaizen: teamwork, personal discipline, improved morale, quality circles, and suggestions for improvement. Supply chain management is an improvement over the traditional logistics management, which helps in the timely delivery of the products to the customers. It also plays a crucial role in increasing business profits by reducing the overall costs, which improve its competitiveness. So, supply chain management, it improves the competitiveness of businesses and also of logistics as well. The supply chain management system, it brings together all the key activities. Now, what are those activities which we have discussed in the previous classes as well? They are purchasing, production, storage, transportation, and distribution under a single system in order to produce and distribute the merchandise in desired quality and quantity at the right time and place, so that the overall cost is reduced and service levels are improved. Logistics and supply chain management are fast growing business areas. The global companies have heavily invested in supply chain management to gain competitive advantages. Computer technology has advanced at such a phenomenal rate that it is currently far ahead of the ability of the supply and logistics field to adequately utilize the new technologies that have emerged. So, the communication capabilities have fundamentally changed the way we think about information sharing and dissemination. However, supply chain and logistics planning are still primarily focused on the distributed models that came as the result of personal computers. There is a great scope for new generation of supply chain and logistics planning technology based on centralized planning and collaboration. So we have discussed the third unit, and now let us discuss the fourth unit, which is pertaining to the logistics management cycle. So logistics management is a component of supply chain management that attempts to meet the demands of customers through better planning, control, and implementation of effective movement and storage of goods and services from the point of origin to the destination. Now, logistics management, it has a cyclical operations. There are several key activities that fulfill the 7 rights of logistics. In this unit, an attempt is made to explain the logistic management cycle and the importance of all the activities. The logistic management information system plays an important role in the operations which is examined. The quality issues in managing logistics and the factors that impact the logistic environment are analyzed. So the goal of the logistic system is meeting the needs of end users and fulfilling the 7 rights of logistics. Now, what are the 7 rights of logistics? The first is product, which is pertaining to product. The second is pertaining to quantity. The third is pertaining to condition. The fourth is pertaining to place. The fifth is pertaining to customer. The sixth is pertaining to time. And the seventh is pertaining to price. So to elaborate, the 7 rights are to deliver the right product in the right quantity and the right condition, to the right place at the right time, for the right customer at the right price. Logistic management includes several activities that support these rights. A systematic approach is used to organize these activities. The logistics cycle comprises the following components. The first is serving customers, right place, time and cost. The second is product selection, that is selecting the right item. The third is forecasting and procurement, right quantity and cost. The fourth is inventory management and distribution, that is right place, time and cost. The fifth is pertaining to information for decision making. The sixth is pertaining to quality assurance and monitoring. So logistics management is a circular cycle indicating the interdependence of various elements. The components of a logistics system fit together in the logistics cycle. Now let us discuss some of the activities involved in logistics cycle management. Logistic management cycle. The logistic management cycle has key interrelated activities. Let us discuss some of these activities. The first is serving customers. The main activity in logistic management is delivery to customers. Customer service is the process between buyer, seller and a third party. There can be internal customers like distribution warehouse for last production point, and external customers which can be different organizations or individuals as well. For example, if the products manufactured are to be sent to warehouse, it is the end point. Customer service is the means by which companies can differentiate their products, ensure customer loyalty, increase sales and improve profits, being a series of activities designed to enhance the level of customer satisfaction. Now, what are the elements of customer service? Let us discuss. The first element is pre-transaction elements. These arise prior to the taking place of actual transaction. This comprises a written statement of policy, customers' access to statements, organizational structure, system flexibility and technical service. For example, when some product is ordered through e-commerce, the customer is in know of several aspects pertaining to the product. Transaction elements. These are related to the physical transportation transactions and are those that are mostly concerned with logistics. The next is post-transaction elements. These elements include those that occur after the delivery has taken place. These are installation, warranty, alterations, repair, parts, product tracking, customer claims, complaints, product packaging, and temporary replacement of product during repairs, etc. Each activity in the logistics cycle contributes to excellent customer service and ensuring commodity security. The loyalty of customers and the rate at which customers reorder is a measure of success in the customer care domain of each business. Now let us discuss about product selection. A product is anything that can be offered to a market for acquisition, use or consumption. Product selected for use will impact the logistics system. So the logistics requirement must be considered in the process of product selection. Product selection is a decision process in which the design team selects one or few products concepts for further development. A small business unit progressively becomes large through additional investments. The new product investment areas are as under: introduction of new product, expansion of the existing product. The third is pertaining to diversification in a new line of product by an already existing unit. The fourth is pertaining to business integration investments, which is a step-by-step and sequential conversion of raw material into finished products. For example, the conversion of raw cotton into finished cloth through spinning, weaving, and processing. The client's ability to select from among products is influenced by other elements of the logistic cycle, such as the budget availability, as they may choose cheaper items over more expensive ones. Many users may have a list of essential items and most cost-effective alternatives. For complicated use, effort is to help choose the right product for each requirement and the correct quantity to distribute. The next is forecasting, quantification, and procurement. After products are selected, the quantity required of each product must be determined and procured. The forecasting process estimates the quantities of the various supplies that will be needed for a specified time. The procurement process, which can be complex, is implemented as per the plan. Quantification. Quantification is the process of estimating the quantity and cost of the products required for specific customer, ensuring an uninterrupted supply, determining when the product should be procured and distributed. The logistics manager is responsible for quantifications and consults policymakers, managers, clients, and service providers. The function in the quantification process include: what are the quantification functions that are there in the quantification process that we'll be discussing. The first function is conduct of annual quantifications and regular updates of commodity requirements and costs. The second is identity potential gaps in supply and mobilizing resources. As part of the quantification process, logistics staff forecast the quantities of product required for a specific time, determine the cost of those products, and compare those costs with the funds available. The amount, timing, and funding commitments from all sources are updated. Develop and manage supply plans. A supply plan details the arrival dates and quantities of shipments from all the suppliers. The logistics staff manage the information regarding supply plans from various suppliers. The desired stock levels are quantified to ensure a continuous supply of commodities. The next very important aspect of the logistic management cycle is pertaining to forecasting. So forecasting estimates the quantities of each product that a customer will use in a specific period. So it is basically to predict that how much quantity of a product will a customer be using in a given period of time. That is done on the basis of the customer or of the analysis of customer behavior over a period of time. Logistic requirements to be forecasted include customer demand, raw material prices, labor costs and lead times. Proper forecasting helps ensure enough supply available to meet the demand. So, an overestimation of demand leads to bloated inventory and high costs, whereas by underestimating demand, many customers would not get their products. Now let us discuss the different activities that are involved in forecasting. So we have already discussed that forecasting is basically making a prediction about how much goods will customers require in a given period of time. And how is that done? That is done on the basis of detailed analysis of customer behavior over a given period of time. Nowadays, since the emergence of machine learning, big data and artificial intelligence, it is being done online. Earlier it used to be done by humans. Forecasting is where procurement usually takes place and often done by logistics managers, management information systems manager and others who are involved with the product. Forecasting is important for the following activities. Forecasting is important for projecting consumption, for budgeting, for procurement planning, for pipeline planning, for quality assurance, and finally for preventing supply imbalances. So not only forecasting aims to predict that how much consumption will be done by the consumer, but it also helps the company or a government agency involved in the task of logistics management to set a budget, because only when we know how much quantity the customers need, then only we shall be able to fix a annual or quarterly or monthly or fortnightly budget for logistics management cycle. The next important step where forecasting helps a lot is pertaining to procurement planning. So it helps in planning how much procurement needs to be done. And the next is relating to pipeline planning, how that procurement, from which sources will it be done. And then finally, forecasting plays a very important role in assuring that the quality of the product is not compromised with, because if we do not do this process of forecasting, then we'll never get to know the quantity that the customers needs, and it may happen that we may end up buying more products than what the customer actually needs, and then maybe we'll not be able to maintain the quality. So relating to that is preventing supply imbalances. So having less product and having more product, both will lead to supply imbalance. So without forecasting, we will not be able to know how much quantity is required, which will definitely lead to a supply imbalance. Now there are two types of forecasting methods. The first is qualitative forecasting. These are judgmental forecasts using subjective inputs such as executive opinions, sales personnel, consumer surveys, opinion of managers and staff. Market research methods that involve using market testing and surveys to forecast the trends, particularly the newly introduced products. The next type of forecasting is quantitative forecasting. Time series model uses previous data assuming that the future will be like the past. Associative model, it uses explanatory variables to predict the future. Procurement and supply management is a global process. It's a logical process flowing from quantification to forecasting. Now, and supply planning, which is aimed at producing procurement tables that guide procurements. The next is supply planning. Supply planning is to counteract the identified risks of stockouts and excesses or expiry. So the supply plan, it shows a way to maintain the stock levels within the accepted minimum and maximum levels. So it is more of an interactive and continuous process that requires lots of stakeholder management skills. Supply planning proposes solutions to the risks of stockouts and expiry. Now, the next part is regarding procurement. After a supply plan has been developed, as part of the quantification process, quantities of products must be procured. So, the procurement can be from international, regional, or local sources of supply, or through a procurement agent. However, procurement should follow a set of specific procedures that ensure an open and transparent process. The next is procurement tables. It lays down the funding, source, supplier, items to be supplied, quantities to be supplied, and preferred delivery date for each supply. This table should be shared with funding sources, suppliers, so that they can also plan at their level. The next is inventory management, which is pertaining to storage and distribution. It is important to determine how much stock should be stored. High inventory due to overestimation of demand is to be avoided, as it increases labor and storage cost if the inventory must be moved to another storage facility to make way for new inventory. For perishable goods, further loss is incurred due to deterioration of unsold inventory. Perishable goods like foodstuffs, food products, fruits, and all these type of things. High inventory results in selling at a discount, which reduces the profit margins and income. The next is inventory control system. The best way to ensure that stock does not run out is to establish an inventory control system which enables the storekeeper to determine when to order or issue, how much to order or issue, and how to maintain an appropriate stock level of all products to avoid shortages or oversupply. The important types of inventory control systems are given below. The first is maximum minimum inventory control system. This system ensures that quantities in stock are within an established range. This is the simplest method. This is the simplest method of inventory control. When the stock of a certain product reaches the minimum level, it is an indication to reorder and reach the earlier level. So, maximum stock level and maximum quantity is the next aspect. So, this is the maximum level of stock above which the inventory levels should not rise under normal conditions. The maximum stock level is always fixed, whereas the quantity varies as consumption changes. So, The next is minimum stock level or minimum quantity. This is the level of stock at which actions to replenish the inventory should occur under normal conditions. The minimum stock level is always fixed, whereas the quantity varies as the consumption changes, similar to the maximum stock level. Now, there is a difference also. So, in case the stock exceeds the maximum stock level, now because there is the company may have this concern that because if the products are unsold, then they may incur a loss. Then what happens is that many times they sell it at a discount price. So that is in a way to minimize the loss. So companies, they accept that okay, we're going to suffer a loss anyways, so let us reduce our the amount of loss that we may suffer or we may incur. So excessive stock, it often leads to a decrease in the price of that commodity, excessive availability of a product or of a stock. However, minimum if a product is it does not meet the minimum stock level, and if it runs out, then if stock out happens, then many times the price increases instead of decreasing of that product. However, both should be avoided. An optimal level of availability of a particular product is extremely important for the logistics management cycle. So in a way, the logistics management operators, they should adopt a sort of a golden mean, Aristotelian golden mean, to maintain a balance between the minimum and maximum stock level. So reaching the minimum may be an indicator to monitor stocks carefully until the next order is placed or the emergency order point is reached. The next aspect is review period stock. The review period is the routine interval of time between assessments of stock levels to determine if an order should be placed. And the next is safety stock level. This is the buffer cushion or reserve stock kept on hand to protect against stockouts caused by delayed deliveries, markedly increased demand, or unexpected events. The next aspect is lead time stock level. The lead time stock level is the level of stock used between the time the new stock is ordered and when it is received and available for use. Emergency order point. This is the level of stock that triggers an emergency order. The next very important aspect of logistic management cycle is pertaining to storage. After an item has been procured and received by the company, it must be transported to the service delivery level where the client or customer will receive the products. During this process, the products must be stored till they are sent to their next lower level or until the customer needs them. Almost all businesses store a quantity of stock for future customer needs. Now, what is the purpose of storing products? Storage is a basic part of warehousing, being more than just shelving products. To have viable products available for distribution, the quality of a product and its packaging must be ensured. Excessive quantities of damaged and expired goods could mean that some products will not be available for customers. All products require procedures for safe storage that maximize their shelf life and make them readily available for distribution. Now, storage, it falls under the tertiary sector. Logistics management itself, we can say, is a part of the tertiary sector. So the primary sector is when that the raw material for that particular product in a way that raw material is grown or cultivated. Say if the product is a textile or a piece of cloth, then the primary stage would be growing cotton or silk, cultivation of cotton, which is done in the black soil areas in central India and Maharashtra. So that would be a part of the primary stage. The secondary stage would be the weaving part, and finally the selling part or the logistics part of the textile or cloth will come under the tertiary stage. So logistics, it involves tertiary and quaternary stages of a product cycle. So all products, they require procedures for safe storage that maximize their shelf life and make them readily available for distribution. All products have a shelf life which is usually specified by the manufacturer. So it doesn't matter whether that product is a perishable or a non-perishable one. All products have a shelf life. Beyond that shelf life, so the perishable products, the food products or the fruits, they have a very short shelf life. However, nowadays, to increase their shelf life, a lot of chemicals are being utilized, preservatives, which it has been found that they have a harmful effect on our health. So all products have a shelf life which is usually specified by the manufacturer. So the expiry date or the use before and the manufacturing date is also has to be specified. Especially in case of food products in our country, not only the manufacturing date but the composition of that food product, it is mandated by the FSSAI, Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. It is mandatory to not only mention on the packaging the components of that food product, but also to mention the expiry date. The same is the case with medicines. And also technological products, they don't have an expiry date as such. Say for example a computer or a printer, their hardwares don't have an expiry date, but their softwares may have an expiry date. However, if you sell a product which was meant for a specific period of time in a later period of time, maybe the customers won't buy it, because that product, if it is a technological product which doesn't have a specific expiry date, maybe that product would have become outdated or anachronistic. So say if we start selling pagers now, that won't have a customer, that won't have a market, because pagers have become outdated. So all products have a shelf life which is usually specified by the manufacturer. Some are stable products having long shelf life of 4 to 5 years. Others may have much more variation in shelf life. So as we discussed, these technological hardware products, they may have a very long shelf life. Or furnitures, not all furnitures, wooden furnitures may not necessarily have a very long shelf life. Products like honey or alcoholic beverages, they may have a long shelf life. All products must be stored and distributed in a way that ensures they are received by customers in good condition and in time to be used before their expiry dates. Now let us discuss some of the storage procedures. Proper storage procedures can help ensure that only the high quality products are issued by a storage facility. Now, when all levels of the pipeline follow these procedures, customers can be assured that the same high quality product has been provided to them. Warehouse managers can evaluate how well their warehouse is performing against these procedures and look for ways to improve storage facility. However, one phenomena that is prevalent nowadays, which has been called ambush marketing as well, the product in which the way in which a product is advertised, the actual product turns out to be quite different from that. Now that advertisement, it may show a product to be in an entirely different way, but when you buy the product and when you use it, you find out that what was shown in the advertisement is not the case. So that is an unethical practice that is prevalent, which is a concern, which is an issue that needs to be tackled. Also, another phenomena that is taking place nowadays is regarding greenwashing. Now, what is greenwashing? So, because sustainable development is the buzzword, and as we all know, climate change has emerged as a major phenomena, and not only climate change but pollution levels are rising across the world because of various factors. The sea levels are rising. So nowadays all companies, they want their product to be environmentally sustainable or environment friendly. So even if their products are not environment friendly, they're still using these marketing tactics or these advertisement tactics to brand their products as environment friendly. So that is a highly unethical practice that is going on. So that also needs to be tackled, the phenomena of greenwashing. So one of the first step in storage procedures is visual inspection. In a perfect pipeline, all products are stored under ideal conditions according to proper storage guidelines. In reality, the quantity of storage conditions may vary widely from place to place. In a warehouse facility, storekeepers can best verify the quality by regularly checking the condition of all products visually. To ensure the quality of the product in warehouse and pipeline, a visual inspection is conducted whenever the product is received from the manufacturer or supplier. A physical inventory is conducted. Any complaints from lower levels or customers, supplies are about to expire, or supplies show signs of damage. Products suffer basically two kinds of damage during shipping and storage. The first damage is mechanical damage, which is caused by physical stresses and due to chemicals. The second type of damage is due to chemicals, which is more difficult to detect and usually it's not obvious during visual inspection, but it requires laboratory testing. Physical inventory of stocks on hand. Now, if we talk about the physical inventory of stock on hand, a physical inventory is the process of counting by hand the total number of units of each commodity in the store at any given time. Its purpose is to compare actual stock on hand with the amount recorded on the stock card. A physical inventory confirms how much stock is there and whether forms are being properly completed or not. It is also an opportunity to inspect products visually for quality assurance. In case of large number of products in a warehouse that must be counted, some facilities may shut down for a few days each year to do a complete physical inventory. But in many situations, this is not possible, and cycle counting of a few dozen items each month is done, ensuring all items have been counted by end of the year without disrupting store operations. Cycle counting is a popular inventory counting method that involves counting several items in several areas within the warehouse without having to count the entire inventory. Now let us discuss the Logistics Management Information System, which is a very important part, LMIS. Information is a key requirement, as we all know, for the smooth functioning of logistics system. It helps in access to informed choices. Managers gather information about each activity in the system and analyze that information to coordinate future actions. For example, information about inventory levels and consumption must be gathered to know how much more to procure. So, Logistic Management Information System (LMIS) is the heart of the logistics cycle. The purpose of LMIS is to collect, organize, and report the data that is used to make decisions. Its key components include generation of data, maintenance of logistics record, and reporting. Now, if we talk about generation of data, the essential data needed for logistic management information system is first stock on hand, how much stock you have, the quantities of usable stock available at all levels of the system. The second part is rate of consumption, the average quantity of an item dispensed to users during a particular time period. The third is losses and adjustments. Losses are the quantity of stock removed from the pipeline for any reason other than consumption by clients. Example: losses, expiration, theft, damaging. Adjustments include quantities issued to or received from other facilities at the same level. Now, maintenance of logistics records. The supplies in a pipeline are either stored, moved in transit, or consumed, which are monitored with the following three types of logistic record. The data they contain must encompass: first, stock keeping records. These are meant to record information about items in storage. At a minimum, stock keeping records must contain the quantities of stock on hand and the quantities of losses and adjustments. The formats are stock bin cards, stored ledgers, and inventory control card. The second is transaction records. The purpose of these is to record information about the movement of stock from one storage facility to another. Transaction records need not include any essential data items. The most common formats are packaging slips, receiving records, issue vouchers, and requisition vouchers. Consumption records. These record the quantity of each item dispensed to clients. Now, if we talk about reporting processes, it has the essential data into a format useful for decision making. The collected data is made available in a form suitable for decision making by giving information through reports such as: first, summary reports having all essential data items, stocks on hand, consumption, and losses and adjustment. Feedback reports inform lower levels about their performance, sometimes providing additional information about reporting from other facilities. Feedback reports also inform higher level managers about how well the system is functioning. Now, since we've been discussing logistic management information system, logistic management information system is a very important stage in designing a relevant and useful system that provides data which facilitates decision making. Now, as we have discussed as part of the LMIS, the aspect of informed choice. Only when we'll be having data, only then the those who are in charge of the operations will be able to make a informed choice. Nowadays, through machine learning and artificial intelligence, logistics management information system has become quite smooth, and mostly it is being done online only. So we've discussed the different processes, including summary reports, feedback reports, which are taken, based on which certain modifications are made in the logistics cycle. The next part is, of course, very important, pertaining to quality monitoring of the activities that are involved in the logistics cycle. So quality is of utmost importance, because if the quality of the product will not be maintained, then the entire operation becomes futile. Now, quality monitoring is done at various stages in the entire cycle. Quality monitoring is done at various stages. The first stage at which the quality of a particular product, whether perishable or non-perishable, is done is between product selection and forecasting. So forecasting, we have already discussed the quantity of product that is required to meet the customer demand. So this is the first stage when quality monitoring is done, and the second stage is between procurement and storage. So these are the two major stages. The third stage when quality monitoring is done is between inventory and customers, and also the next stage is the last stage of quality monitoring is between customers and product selections. So we have discussed so far till quality monitoring of the activities involved in logistics management. In the next class, we'll be discussing the logistics environment, the different recent developments that have taken place, and how they have their implications on the logistics management cycle. That we'll discuss in the next class. I thank you all for joining today's class, in which we have discussed the challenges in logistics management and supply chain management in the third unit, and so far we've been discussing logistics management cycle, and we will end our class today with the quality monitoring of the activities, the different stages at which the quality of a product is monitored in the logistics management cycle. In the next class, we will be discussing the impact of recent developments like globalization policies, government policies, how they have made an impact on the logistics system, and how the logistics management cycle has adapted according to the changing environment, the changing global and policy environment, how the logistics management, the logistics sector has adapted to them. So that we will be discussing in the next class. So we end today's class by discussing the quality monitoring of the activities. So we've discussed the 4 stages. The first stage was between product selection and forecasting. The second stage was between procurement and storage. The third stage that I just discussed was between inventory and customers. And finally, the last stages of quality monitoring is between customers and product selection. So based on that, customer feedback is received, and based on that, customer satisfaction, whether the customer is satisfied or not, that also we get to know, and this data can be used in about the selection of the products to select in the next procurement cycle. So I thank you all for joining today's class. Namaste.
ఈనాటి కంటెంపరీ దేశీయ రాజకీయాల్లో, ఆర్థిక సంక్షోభంలో మరియు అంతర్జాతీయ సంక్షోభ పరిస్థితుల్లో చాలా అవసరమైన శాంతివాదము, ప్యాసిఫిజం, ఇంగ్లీషులో ప్యాసిఫిజం అంటే PACIFISM, ప్యాసిఫిజం అంటే శాంతివాదము. అయితే ఈ శాంతివాదము అనేది ముఖ్యంగా జాతీయ పరిస్థితుల్లో, జాతీయ స్థాయిలో మరియు అంతర్జాతీయ స్థాయిలో తలెత్తే సంఘర్షణలు, కొట్లాటలు, సాయుధ పోరాటాలు, వీటన్నిటిలో నిజానికి ఈ శాంతివాదం అనేది చాలా ముఖ్యమని, శాంతివాదము చాలా పనికొస్తుందని, చాలా ఉపయోగకరమని వాదించిన వాళ్ళు చాలామంది ఉన్నారు. అంటే మనము నెక్స్ట్ ఒక 5-10 మినిట్స్లో గాంధీ ఏ విధంగా శాంతివాదాన్ని అవలంబించారో అది చేస్తాము. కానీ దానికంటే ముందు శాంతివాదం అంటే ఏంటని మనం తెలుసుకోకపోతే ఏమైందంటే గాంధీని అర్థం చేసుకోలేము సరిగా. అతని ఎంత గొప్ప వ్యక్తి అనేది మనము అర్థం చేసుకోలేము. అయితే శాంతివాదం అనేది ఏంటి అంటే ఒక శాంతియుత పద్ధతుల్లో ఘర్షణలను, యుద్ధాలను ఆపడము మరియు శాంతియుత పద్ధతుల్లో ఘర్షణలు జాతీయ స్థాయిలోను అంతర్జాతీయ స్థాయిలోను మన ఘర్షణల ద్వారా మన పరిస్థితులను చక్కబెట్టడం కానీ, యుద్ధాలను ఆపడం కానీ, డిస్ప్యూట్స్ ఏవైతే ఉంటాయో డిస్ప్యూట్స్ను రిజాల్వ్ చేయడం కానీ పనికిరాదు. శాంతియుత పద్ధతుల ద్వారానే అవి పరిష్కరించుకోవాలా అనేది ఇది శాంతివాదం. అయితే శాంతివాదం గురించి ఏం చేయాలి? తర్వాత శాంతియుత పద్ధతిలో ఏమేమి ఉంటాయి శాంతియుత పద్ధతులు అంతర్జాతీయ స్థాయిలోను జాతీయ స్థాయిలోను మన ఏ పద్ధతిలోను అనుసరించాలనేది ఈనాటి యొక్క ఉపన్యాసం యొక్క ముఖ్యమైన అది మన థీమ్ అని చెప్పాలి. అయితే ఈ శాంతియుత పద్ధతులు, శాంతివాదము అనేది అసలు నిజానికి మన మొట్టమొదటి నుంచి ఉంది. ఆన్సెంట్ వరల్డ్లోను మరియు మధ్యయుగంలోను తర్వాత మోడర్న్ యుగంలోను శాంతియుత పద్ధతులు ఉన్నాయి. కానీ దురదృష్టవశాత్తు చరిత్రలో శాంతియుత పద్ధతులు, శాంతియుత మార్గాలు ఉన్నా కూడా మన రాజులు కానీ సామంతులు కానీ శాంతియుత పద్ధతులను అనుసరించకుండా, అంటే ఇప్పుడు సమస్య ఏంటంటే సామ్రాజ్యవాదము అనేది ఒకటి ఉంది. అంటే చక్రవర్తులు వాళ్ళందరూ ఏం చేస్తారంటే యుద్ధ పద్ధతుల ద్వారా, సాయుధ పోరాటం ద్వారానే మన సామంతులను వాళ్ళను అణచి ఆ సామంతవాదుల యొక్క రాజ్యాలను మన ఆక్రమించుకొని వాళ్ళను మన కింద ఉండేటట్టు, తర్వాత వాళ్ళకున్న భూములను, జాగలను ఆక్రమించి వాటి వల్ల వచ్చే ఆదాయంను పొంది మన తమకు తామే తీసుకొని సుఖంగా బతకాలా, లేదా మన ప్రజలకు సుఖంగా బతకాలా అనే విధంగా చాలా మంది రాజులు మన పరిపాలించారండి. కొందరు మాత్రమే అశోకుడు తర్వాత ఇతరులు ఈ యుద్ధం అని చేయకూడదు, అసలు యుద్ధం అవసరం లేదు, శాంతియుత పద్ధతిలో ఉండాలని కొందరు శాంతియుత కాముకులు ఉండొచ్చు. కానీ 90% మాత్రము జాతీయ అంతర్జాతీయ స్థాయిలో సాయుధ పోరాటాన్ని అవలంబించారు, సాయుధ పద్ధతుల్ని అవలంబించారు, తర్వాత దురాక్రమణ పద్ధతిని అనువరించారు. దానికి దురాక్రమణ కొరకు తర్వాత ఇతర దేశాలపై మన అధికారం చెలాయించాలని కూడా నిజానికి మన ఇది మన ఆ, ఆ, సైన్యాన్ని పెంపొందించుకోవడం, అది హర్షద మన ఆ, గుర్రాలను, తర్వాత ఏనుగులను, తర్వాత లోటపుటలను, దాని తర్వాత మా మన సాయుధ పద్ధతి అంటే యుద్ధ పద్ధతులు, తర్వాత హింసాయుధ పద్ధతులు, సాయుధ పోరాట పద్ధతులు కూడా మాటికి అంటే కాలం గడుస్తున్న కొద్ది ఆధునిక పద్ధతులు మారుతూనే కొత్తగా వస్తూనే ఉన్నాయి. అయితే ఈ శాంతియుత పద్ధతులు అనేవి గాంధీ మన ముఖ్యంగా అతను అంతర్జాతీయ స్థాయిలో మరి కాకుండా, మన రాష్ట్ర స్థాయిలో కాకుండా, ప్రాంతీయ స్థాయిలో కాకుండా, దేశీయ స్థాయిలో కాకుండా అతను అంతర్జాతీయ స్థాయిలో మన జరిగే యుద్ధాలు, తర్వాత ఘర్షణలు గురించి దానికి చాలా పట్టించుకోవడం జరిగింది. తర్వాత మానవతా దృక్పథంతో నిజంగా తన తన అతని యొక్క పాత్ర ఎక్కడెక్కడ అవసరం ఉందో, తర్వాత అతని యొక్క సలహాలు ఎవరైతే తీసుకుంటున్నారో వాళ్ళందరికీ మాత్రం శాంతియుత పద్ధతుల యొక్క ప్రాముఖ్యత ఏంటి, శాంతియుత పద్ధతుల లాభాలు ఏంటి అని అతను మన చేశాడు. అది ఇంకా కొంచెము ఒక 5 minutes తర్వాత దానికి వద్దాం. అయితే శాంతియుత పాసిఫిజం అంటే ఏంటి అంటే, శాంతివాదం ఏంటి అంటే, శాంతి అనే కాన్సెప్ట్, భావన అనేది చాలా మంచిది, చాలా మానవతకి మానవతకి హ్యూమన్ బీయింగ్స్ చాలా అవసరమని, తర్వాత అది అభివృద్ధికి మానవుల యొక్క అభివృద్ధికి, మానవుల యొక్క ఐక్యతకి చాలా ముఖ్యమని నమ్మడమే శాంతివాదము. అయితే ఈ శాంతివాదంలో ఏంటంటే, యుద్ధంలో శాంతివాదం కాకుండా పొట్లాటలు కానీ, దేశ స్థాయిలో అంతర్యుద్ధం కానీ, అంతర్యుద్ధం అంటే తెలుసు కదా, సివిల్ వార్ ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్. ఒక విధంగా చూస్తే మనది మన అమెరికన్ రివల్యూషన్ 1776 ముందు నిజానికి అంతర్యుద్ధమైందండి. అంతర్యుద్ధంలో నిజానికి బానిసలు తర్వాత మన బానిసలు వ్యతిరేకంగా ప్రవర్తించి, బానిసలకు వ్యతిరేకంగా మన యుద్ధం చేసిన వాళ్ళు, మన వ్యతిరేక విధానాన్ని అవలంబించిన వాళ్ళు రేసిస్ట్ అంటే మన యుద్ధంలో ఇది అమెరికన్ దాంట్లో అది చేశారు. సో అటువంటి అంతర్యుద్ధాల్లో మరియు అంతర్జాతీయ యుద్ధాల్లో ఏ విధంగా శాంతియుత పద్ధతులు ఉపయోగపడతాయి, తర్వాత శాంతి అనే భావనను అవలంబించాలి ప్రబోధించిన వాళ్ళు చాలామంది ఉన్నారు. అందులో చాలా ముఖ్యులు, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మన లియో టాల్స్టాయ్ అనేవాడు రష్యన్ రచయిత. తర్వాత అభివృద్ధి, శాంతి, మానవత్వము అనే అనేక కార్యక్రమాలు, అనేక అంశాలపై, అనేక థీమ్స్పై, అనేక భావనలపై, అటువంటి భావనలపై చాలా అతను రాశాడు. నిజానికి టాల్స్టాయ్ అనేవాడు మన గాంధీపై ఒక సరి అయిన ప్రభావాన్ని అతను చూపడం జరిగింది. అంటే దాని అర్థం ఏంటంటే, గాంధీ టాల్స్టాయ్ ప్రభావితుడయ్యాడు. లియో టాల్స్టాయ్ రష్యన్ రైటర్. తర్వాత ఇంకెవరు అంటే ఐన్స్టీన్ అనేవాడు అసలు నిజానికి యుద్ధం ఎట్లుంటుంది, యుద్ధ వాతావరణం ఎట్లుంటుంది, న్యూక్లియర్ పవర్ ఏంటి, తర్వాత ఇవన్నిటి గురించి రాసిన తర్వాత అతను ఏమన్నాడంటే, అసలు వీటిని ఉపయోగించుకోకూడదు, శాంతియుత పద్ధతులే, శాంతియే మానవతకి, మానవ అభివృద్ధికి, మానవుల ఐక్యతకి చాలా ఉపయోగపడుతుందని మన ఇది ఐన్స్టీన్ అనేవాడు వచ్చేసి మన శాంతివాదాన్ని, శాంతియుత పద్ధతులని సమర్థించాడు అన్నట్టు. అయితే ఇంకోరెవరు బర్నార్డ్ షా అనేవాడు మంచి ఇంగ్లీష్ రచయిత. అయితే అతని నిజానికి అతనికి గొప్ప పేరు ఏంటంటే హ్యూమరస్ రైటింగ్స్, హ్యూమరస్ థీమ్స్తోని అతను నిజానికి ఆ సాహిత్యంలో అవార్డు కూడా అతనికి వచ్చింది. అది అంతర్జాతీయ అది. అతను కూడా శాంతియుత పద్ధతులు చాలా బాగుంటాయి, మానవ అభివృద్ధికి, మానవుల హింస శాంతియుత పద్ధతులే పాటించినప్పుడు హింసాత్మక పద్ధతులు వాడుతాం. సామాన్యంగా అంతర్గతంగా ఒక దేశంలో కానీ తర్వాత అంతర్జాతీయ ఒక దేశాల మధ్య కానీ సంబంధాలు అనేవి తప్పకుండా ఉంటాయి. సంబంధాలు ఉండకుండా జీవితము అసలు గడవదు, ప్రపంచం నడవదు, సమాజం నడవదు, సమాజము మన అభివృద్ధి చెందదు. సో సంబంధాలు అనేవి కంపల్సరీ. మరి ఆ సంబంధాలు అన్నప్పుడు ఆ సంబంధాలలో శాంతియుత పద్ధతులు అనేది ముఖ్యమా, లేకపోతే మన యుద్ధ మన సంఘర్షణ పద్ధతులు, మన సాయుధ పోరాటాలు ముఖ్యమా, అవసరమా అనేది తప్పకుండా మన రాజకీయ నాయకులు, దేశీయ స్థాయిలో ప్రెసిడెంట్లు, ప్రైమ్ మినిస్టర్లు వాళ్ళందరూ ఆలోచించవలసి ఉంటుంది. అట్లా ఆలోచించవలసినప్పుడు దానికి చాలామంది నిజంగా శాంతిగా ఉంటుంది. కానీ ఎదుటివాడు ఒక దుర్మార్గుడు, ఒక రాజు, మన సామ్రాజ్యవాది మన మీద దండెత్తినప్పుడు మనం రక్షించుకోవాలి కదా. సో ఆ రక్షించుకోవడానికి చాలామంది ఏం చేస్తారంటే మన సైన్యాన్ని పెంపొందించుకుంటారు, ఆయుధాలను చేస్తారు. ఓకే, సో ఆయుధాలను సమకూర్చుకుంటారు. తర్వాత మన ఇది సైన్య మంచి యోగ్యత గల సైన్యాధికారులను అపాయింట్ చేసుకుంటారు. లేకపోతే యోగ్యత గల మన యోగ్యత గల సైన్యాధికారి లేకుంటే యుద్ధము నడిపేవారు ఉండరు. తర్వాత రాజు ఒక్కడే అయిపోయి అసలు రాజే మరణానికి గురి అవ్వడానికి అవకాశం ఉంటుంది అన్నట్టు. సైనికాధికారులు చేస్తారు. సో తర్వాత మన సైన్యంలో పోరాడి మన పోరాడి మరణించిన వారికి వాళ్ళని యోధులకి వాళ్ళ అవార్డ్స్ ఇస్తూ వాళ్ళ కుటుంబాలను ఆదుకోవడం కూడా జరుగుతుంది. సో ఆ విధంగా అయితే అది ఆత్మరక్షణ. ఆత్మరక్షణ కోసము యుద్ధానికి రెడీగా ఉండడము, ఎదుటి వాళ్ళని యుద్ధం చేస్తుంటే మనకు మనం రక్షించుకోవడం అనేది చాలా మంది చేస్తారు. సో శాంతి కాముకులు కూడా చేస్తారు. సో ఎప్పుడు యుద్ధం చేయాలా, ఎప్పుడు యుద్ధం చేయకూడదు. అంటే ఉదాహరణకి మనము మన అనేక పర్యావరణ పరిస్థితులు వ్యతిరేక పర్యావరణం మానవ జీవితానికి వ్యతిరేకంగా డెవలప్ అయ్యే మన వ్యతిరేక వాతావరణ పద్ధతులు ఏవైతే వాటికి వ్యతిరేకంగా మనం కొట్లాడతాం, మనం రక్షించుకోవడానికి మన ప్రయత్నం చేస్తాం. సో అదేవిధంగా నిజానికి యుద్ధాన్ని రక్షించుకోవడానికి మన ప్రజలు రక్షింపబడడానికి, మన ప్రజలు శాంతియుత పద్ధతిలో మన పరిస్థితుల్లో జీవించడానికి మనం ఇది మన శాంతికి వ్యతిరేకంగా మన అయిన పరిస్థితులకు నుండి రక్షించుకోవడానికి కూడా ప్రయత్నం చేస్తాం. సో అదొక కొంతవరకు పెద్ద తప్పు కాదు. ఈ శాంతివాదాన్ని నమ్మిన వాళ్ళు, శాంతివాదాన్ని సమర్థించిన వాళ్ళు అది వీళ్ళను మన కొంతవరకు సమర్థిస్తారు. నిజానికి శాంతిని నమ్మే వాళ్ళు అసలు యుద్ధంలో ఆయుధాలు కూడా నిజానికి ఉత్పత్తి చేయకూడదు, ఆయుధాలను కూడా తయారు చేయకూడదు. కానీ కొంతవరకు అది మన యుద్ధాన్ని ఆపడానికి కూడా, దండెత్తడం దురాక్రమణ ఆపడానికి శాంతియుత మన పద్ధతులను అమలు చేయడానికి ఇది మన ఆయుధాలు సమకూర్చుకోవడం అనేది అవసరం. సో అయితే ఈనాడు మనము చూస్తే ఈనాటికి అంటే మన ఈ యుద్ధ వాతావరణం, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇజ్రాయెల్ తర్వాత ఇరాన్ మధ్యన, ఇజ్రాయెల్ పాలస్తీన్ మధ్యన ఏ విధంగా యుద్ధాలు ఆపలేకపోతున్నారు, అవి కంటిన్యూస్గా జరుగుతున్నాయి. అదేవిధంగా రష్యా మరియు ఉక్రెయిన్ మధ్య యుద్ధం జరుగుతుంది. ఇక్కడ విషయం ఏంటంటే మన దురాక్రమణను ఎదుర్కోవడానికి, దురాక్రమణను అడ్డుకోవడానికి యుక్రెయిన్ ఉంటుంది, మేము మా స్వాతంత్రము మా దేశాన్ని ఆక్రమించుకున్నప్పుడు మేము ఎలా ఒప్పుకుంటున్నామని. వాళ్లకు నిజంగా మన చేత కాకుండా కూడా వాళ్ళ యొక్క దేశము, వాళ్ళ యొక్క ఆయుధ సన్నద్ధత చాలా బలహీనంగా ఉన్నా కూడా వాళ్ళు మన యుద్ధం చేయడం జరుగుతుంది. అంటే యుద్ధము శాంతి ఎప్పుడు భంగం కలుగుతుంది అంటే నిజానికి దురాక్రమణ పద్ధతి, తర్వాత సరియైన మన రాజకీయం లేకుండా పోవడము, సరియైన నాయకత్వం, మన అంటే యుద్ధాన్నే నమ్మిన నాయకత్వము పుతిన్ లాంటి వాడికి ఉన్నప్పుడు తప్పకుండా యుద్ధాన్ని నిజానికి ఆపడానికి వీలు లేకపోతుంది. ఇప్పుడు శాంతి కాముకత అనేది ఉండాలి. అది ఈనాడు కనుక పుతిన్ కనుక శాంతి కాముకత ఉంటే అసలు యుద్ధం ఏ విధంగానో అతను ఆపేవాడు. కానీ శాంతి కాముకత, శాంతియుత పద్ధతులను అతను నమ్మడం లేదు. ఎవరు? పుతిన్. ఇది రష్యా నాయకుడు. సో ఈ విధంగా ప్రపంచం మొత్తం మీద అయితే మనము కొంచెం డైవర్షన్ ఇంకా అనేకమైన, ఇప్పుడు మనం ముందుగా ఏమంటున్నాం, టాల్స్టాయ్, తర్వాత ఆల్బర్ట్ ఐన్స్టీన్, దాని తర్వాత జార్జ్ బర్నార్డ్ షా, అతను ఇంగ్లీష్ సాహిత్య వర్క్ అన్నట్టు. ఐన్స్టీను సైంటిస్ట్, తర్వాత టాల్స్టాయో నీతి, తర్వాత నిజాయితీ, తర్వాత శాంతి, ఇటువంటి విషయాల మీద రాసిన ఒక గ్రంథకర్త. తర్వాత అర్నాల్డ్ అనేవాడు కూడా ఒక శాంతివాదాన్ని నమ్మినవాడు, శాంతియుత పద్ధతులను అవలంబించాలని ప్రబోధించినవాడు. తర్వాత హెలెన్ కెల్లర్ ఒక నిజానికి ఒక మన అందురాలు. ఆమె కూడా నిజానికి మన శాంతియుత పద్ధతులను అవలంబించాలా, శాంతియుత పద్ధతులను అవలంబించి దానికి మన ఎదుటివాడిని, అదే శత్రువు ఒక దేశం కానీ, శత్రువు ఒక నాయకుడు కానీ, శత్రువు యొక్క అంతరంగిక మన అంతర్గత విషయాలలో కూడా శాంతి కాముకత ఉండాలని నమ్మి శాంతియుత పద్ధతుల ద్వారా మనము మన ఘర్షణలను, తర్వాత వివాదాలను మనం పరిష్కరించుకోవాలని దానికి అనుకునే వాళ్ళు చాలామంది ఉన్నారు. సో అంతవరకు ఇంకా నిజానికి ఇంకా శాంతి కాముకులు, శాంతియుత పద్ధతులను ప్రబోధించిన వాళ్ళు ఇంకా చాలామంది ఉన్నారు. అయితే ఆ విధంగా నిజానికి వీళ్ళందరి మీద మన పర్టికులర్గా టాల్స్టాయ్ తర్వాత అందరికీ గాంధీజీ ప్రభావితుడు అయ్యాడు అన్నట్టు. తర్వాత నౌ లెట్స్ కమ్ టు యాక్చువల్గా గాంధీ గురించి మనం మాట్లాడాలి. గాంధీ ఏం చేశాడు? గాంధీ నిజానికి శాంతివాదాన్ని అవలంబించాడు, శాంతివాదాన్ని నమ్మాడు, తర్వాత శాంతివాదాన్ని ప్రబోధించాడు. అడ్వకేటెడ్ శాంతి వాదాన్ని చేశాడు. తర్వాత హీ అడ్వకేటెడ్ నాన్ వైలెంట్ మెథడ్స్ ఆఫ్ రిజాల్వింగ్ డిస్ప్యూట్స్. అయితే ఇక్కడ అనేక ఏదో ఒక ఎమోషనల్గా యుద్ధాన్ని ఆపాలి, తర్వాత ప్రజలు చనిపోకూడదు అని ఒక ఎమోషనల్గానే కాదు, కానీ యుద్ధము ఆపడం వల్ల, యుద్ధ శాంతియుత పద్ధతులు అవలంబించడం వల్ల, యుద్ధం రాకుండా చేయడం వల్ల, వచ్చినా కూడా శాంతియుత పద్ధతులను అవలంబించడం వల్ల ఏమేమి లాభాలు ఉన్నాయి అనేది కూడా మనం డీటెయిల్గా చర్చిస్తే, అంటే వాళ్ళు రాస్తే దానికి యుద్ధం ఆపడానికి మన యుద్ధ పద్ధతులు, మన అహింసా పద్ధతులు అవలంబించుకుంటా హింసా పద్ధతులు అవలంబించకుండా రాజులు కానీ నాయకులు కానీ ఉంటారని మనం తప్పకుండా భావించవచ్చు. అయితే ఇక్కడ ఈ వంటి ఎమోషనల్ బిలీఫ్ ఇన్ పీస్ కాకుండా అనేక రకాలుగా యుద్ధము చేయకుండా ఉంటే ఏ విధంగా మానవుల అభివృద్ధి చెందుతుంది, తర్వాత నిజానికి ఒక దేశం యొక్క బాధ్యత ఇతర దేశంతో యుద్ధం చేయకుండా, ఇతర దేశాలను దోచుకోకుండా, ఇతర దేశాలలో ప్రజలు బాగుపడాలనే ఉద్దేశంతో కూడా నిజానికి నాయకులు ప్రవర్తిస్తారు, నాయకులు తమ నిర్ణయాలు తీసుకుంటారు. సో గాంధీజీ పాస్ సే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మన అడ్వకేటెడ్ పీస్ఫుల్ మెథడ్స్, పీస్ అది న్యాచురల్గా మనం ఇదివరకు చదువుకున్నాం చాలా లెక్చర్స్లో. ఏ విధంగా గాంధీ సత్యాగ్రహ మన అనే ఒక ఆయుధాన్ని అతను చేశాడు. తర్వాత అహింసను అతను ప్రబోధించి హింసాయుత పద్ధతులను ఎల్లప్పుడూ ఎవరు అవలంబించకూడదు సాధ్యమైనంత వారికి అని నిజానికి. అదేవిధంగా తర్వాత అహింసా పద్ధతులు ఎంతవరకు మన ఉపయోగపడినవి, ఏ విధంగా చాలామంది ప్రజలు మన గాంధీజీ యొక్క మన ప్రబోధాలను విని శాంతియుత పద్ధతి ద్వారా మన జాతీయ ఉద్యమంలో పాల్గొన్నారు. ఇక్కడ విషయం మనకు శాంతియుత పద్ధతుల యొక్క ప్రాముఖ్యత ఏంటి అన్నప్పుడు, ఉద్యమాలు ముఖ్యంగా మనం బతుకుంటే బలిసాకానే తింటాము, కానీ హింసా పద్ధతులు పడితే మనం ఎదుటివాడిని చంపడానికి పోతున్నప్పుడు మనం కూడా చంపకూడవచ్చు. ఎదుటివాడు కూడా ప్రయత్నం చేస్తాడు, శత్రువు కూడా ప్రయత్నం చేస్తాడు మనం చంపడానికి. కాబట్టి మనం చదవకుండా మనం బ్రతుకుండే విధంగా కూడా నిజానికి శాంతియుత పద్ధతులు నిజానికి చాలా వరకు అవలంబించాలనేది నిజంగా అందరికీ తెలిసిన విషయం. కాబట్టి ఇప్పుడు మనము నిర్ధారించుకోవలసింది, కంక్లూడ్ చేయవలసింది ఏంటంటే శాంతియుత పద్ధతులు అనేది చాలా ముఖ్యమైనవి. అది ఎదుటి శత్రువుకు నాట్యము నష్టము వాటిల్లాలని యుద్ధం చేయడం కాకుండా దానికి మనకి మనం రక్షించుకోవడం కూడా చాలా ముఖ్యమైనది. ఈ హింసా పద్ధతుల్లో దానికి ఎదుటివాన్ని మనం ఎన్ని యుద్ధ సంపత్తి అతనికి ఉందో అనేది, ఎన్ని ఆయుధాలు ఉన్నాయి, తర్వాత ఎంత శక్తులు ఉన్నాయి అని మనకు తెలియదు. అది మీరికి వాళ్ళు మన చెప్పకపోవచ్చు. కాబట్టి యుద్ధము ఆపకుండా అంటే అనివార్యమైనప్పుడే మనము యుద్ధానికి మనం పూనుకోవాలంటే కానీ చాలా మట్టికి ప్రయత్నాలు చేసి నెగోషియేట్ చేసి యుద్ధాన్ని ఆపడానికి ప్రయత్నం చేయాలా అనేది దానికి ఈ శాంతివాదం యొక్క మన ముఖ్య లక్ష్యం ఉన్నట్టు. సో నౌ తన క్యారీర్లో అతను శాంతియుత పద్ధతులు యుద్ధాన్ని నివారించడానికి ఎక్కడెక్కడ ఏ సందర్భాలు అతని జీవితంలో ఎక్కడెక్కడ ఏ సందర్భంలో అతను శాంతిని ప్రబోధించాడు, తర్వాత ఏ సందర్భంలో అతని కామెంట్ చేశాడు, ఏ సందర్భంలో అతనికి సలహాలు ఇవ్వడం జరిగింది, ఏ సందర్భంలో అతను నడిపిన ఉద్యమాల గురించి ఇంపార్టెంట్ నిర్ణయాలు తీసుకున్నాడు. దానికి ఒక మన బ్రీఫ్గా సంక్షిప్తంగా మనం తెలుసుకోవడం అవసరం. ఫస్ట్ వరల్డ్ వార్ అయింది. ఫస్ట్ వరల్డ్ వార్లో ఎంతోమంది నష్టపోయారు, ఎంతోమంది మన చావుకు గురయ్యారు. యాక్చువల్లీ యుద్ధంలో ఏంటి, ఎదుటివాడిని చంపడం అనేది యుద్ధం. అది లక్ష్యం లేకుండా అది యుద్ధం జాయిన్ కావాలంటే సైనికులు పోగొట్టారు. సో తప్పకుండా యుద్ధం అయినప్పుడు చాలామంది చనిపోతారు, మన సైనికులు చనిపోతారు, వేరే వాళ్ళు కూడా చనిపోతారు. సో కామెంట్ ఇదని ఏమంటారంటే అసలు ఈ అహింసా పద్ధతిని అనుసరించారు, హింసాత్మకమైన పద్ధతిని అనుసరించారు. therefore actually the war, that is first world war, that is 1914 to 1918 అనే ఫస్ట్ వరల్డ్ వారు నిజానికి జరగకుండా బాగుండేది. నిజానికి అది అయితే ఇక్కడ ఒకటి అంటే ఆ జరగకుండా మళ్ళీ కొత్తగా ప్రయత్నాలు మన కొన్ని మన యుద్ధ వ్యతిరేక సంస్థలను ఏర్పరచడం జరిగింది. అంటే సంధులను చేయడం జరిగింది. నిజానికి ఆ సంధులు ఏంటి అంటే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ట్రీటీ ఆఫ్ వర్సెల్స్ అనే ప్రాంతంలో నిజానికి మన నాయకులందరూ కలిసి ఒక ట్రీటీ చేసుకుంటారు. ఆ ట్రీటీ ప్రకారమే దాన్ని లీగ్ ఆఫ్ నేషన్స్ నానాజాతి సమితి అనేది కూడా ఏర్పడింది. అయితే గాంధీ ఏం కమెంట్ చేశాడంటే నిజానికి ట్రీటీ ఆఫ్ వర్సైల్ను తర్వాత మన ఫస్ట్ వరల్డ్ వార్లో మన ఫస్ట్ వరల్డ్ యుద్ధాన్ని ఆపి మనము శాంతిని ఏర్పరచే విధంగా ప్రయత్నాలు, దానికి ఒక ఐవాష్ అంటే ఏంటంటే అది మీద నామమాత్రంగా నిజానికి యుద్ధం వస్తుంది. ఆ భావన యుద్ధాన్ని ప్రబోధించి యుద్ధాన్ని శాంతియుత పద్ధతులు ఏ విధంగా మన ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేయాలా అనేది పూర్తిగా నమ్మి పకడ్బందీగా ఒక కొన్ని అధికారులు ఉన్న సంస్థలను ఏర్పాటు చేయలేదు. ఇట్స్ ఐవాష్ అంటే మీద తూతు మంత్రం లెక్క చేయడం జరిగింది. ప్రయత్నాలు యుద్ధ వాతావరణాన్ని నివారించాలా, యుద్ధాన్ని సద్దుమణిగట్టి చేయాలా అనే ప్రయత్నం అనేది గాంధీ యొక్క కామెంట్ అన్నట్టు. ఇది ఫస్ట్ వరల్డ్ వార్లో. అంటే అతని యొక్క ఉద్దేశం ఏంటంటే ఫస్ట్ వరల్డ్ వార్ వచ్చిన తర్వాత కూడా దానికి మంచి సంస్థలు ఏర్పరిచి పకడ్బందీగా మన అవి అమలు అయ్యేటట్టు ప్రయత్నించి దాని తర్వాత మన యుద్ధాలు వస్తే నిజంగా ఎటువంటి ప్రయత్నాలు చేయాలా అనేది ఒక మన చాలా ముఖ్యమైన విషయం అన్నట్టు. సో ఆ విధంగా అతను అనేక జాతీయ మరియు అంతర్జాతీయ సందర్భాలలో అతని యొక్క శాంతి కాముకత, అతని యొక్క శాంతివాదాన్ని నిజానికి ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేయడం కూడా జరిగింది అన్నట్టు. అంటే అతను జాతీయ స్థాయిలో అంతర్గతంగా మన వివాదాలను, తర్వాత మన సివిల్ వార్స్ని ఏమంటుందని ఆపడమే కాకుండా అతను జాతీయ స్థాయిలో కూడా అనేక సందర్భాలలో గాంధీ పాల్గొనడము, మన పార్టిసిపేట్ చేయడము జరిగింది అన్నట్టు. అయితే గాంధీజీ నిజానికి సెకండ్ వరల్డ్ వార్ 1948 ఆ టైంలో కూడా ఉన్నాడు. దానికి ఆ టైంలో కూడా అతను గాంధీ మన ఈ యుద్ధాన్ని ఆపకుండా, యుద్ధం జరగకుండా ఎటువంటి ప్రయత్నం చేయాలో అనేది కూడా అతను చేయడం జరిగింది. సే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ 1940, 2014 మరియు 2019 వరకు ఫస్ట్ వరల్డ్ వార్ జరిగింది. టీటీఎఫ్ వర్సెస్ వచ్చింది. దాని తర్వాత టీటీఎఫ్ వర్సెస్ యుద్ధాన్ని కాపాడడానికి, శాంతిని నిలబెట్టుకోవడానికి, తర్వాత అనేక పద్ధతుల్లో శాంతియుత పాలన జరగడానికి మన లీగ్ ఆఫ్ నేషన్స్, నానాజాతి సంస్థ అనే సంస్థను ఏర్పాటు చేయడం జరిగింది. అయితే ఈ నానాజాతి సమితి నిజానికి గాంధీ అటువంటి వాళ్ళు సరి అయిన అధికారాన్ని కలిగిందని, తర్వాత కంట్రిబ్యూషన్ కోసం, వారి ఫైనాన్స్ కోసము దేశాలని మన ఏమంటుందని శాంతియుత పద్ధతులను అవలంబించి మన దేశాలని శాంతియుత యుద్ధ వాతావరణం నుంచి రక్షించడము జరుగుతుందన్నమాట. సో మన ఫస్ట్ వరల్డ్ వార్ నుంచి సెకండ్ వరల్డ్ వార్ వరకు, ఫస్ట్ వరల్డ్ వార్ నుంచి సెకండ్ వరల్డ్ వార్ వరకు నిజానికి అనేక సందర్భాల్లో అనేక కారణాల వల్ల నిజానికి యుద్ధ వాతావరణం పెరిగిందని చెప్పచ్చు. ముఖ్యంగా ఏంటంటే ఇక్కడ మనము శాంతిని స్థాపించడానికి కూడా శాంతియుత పద్ధతుల ద్వారా మన వివాదాలను పరిష్కరించుకోవడానికి కూడా నిజానికి న్యాయం అనేది ఉండాలా. అంటే యుద్ధంలో పాల్గొన్న ఇరు వర్గాల వారికి నిజానికి న్యాయమైన పరిష్కారం కావాలా అనేది కూడా గుర్తుండలేదు. సో గాంధీ ఏమిటంటే సరైన పరిష్కారం ఇవ్వలేదు కాబట్టి అది మళ్ళీ రెండవ ప్రపంచం వచ్చే వరకు, యుఎన్ఓ ఎస్టాబ్లిష్ చేసే వరకు నీకు అనేక సందర్భాలలో దానికి మన యుద్ధాలు జరగలేదు. అంటే 1945 కదా, ఇది 1939 నుంచి 1945 వరకు రెండవ ప్రపంచ యుద్ధం జరిగింది. సో అటువంటి యుద్ధాలు ఆపకుండా మన ఇది ఒక ఆపకుండా విధంగా ఓడిపోయారు. తర్వాత ఆపలేక విఫలమయ్యారు. ఓడిపోవడం కాదు, విఫలమయ్యారు అని చెప్పాలి. సో ఎందుకు అంటే ముఖ్యంగా ట్రీటీ ఆఫ్ వర్సైల్స్లో సంధి ఏదైతే చేసుకున్నారో ఆ సంధి ఓడిపోయిన వారికి, ముఖ్యంగా జర్మనీ మరియు జపాన్ ఇటువంటి వాటికి నిజానికి అది సుముఖతగా లేదు. తర్వాత వాళ్ళకి అన్యాయం జరిగిందనే ఒక ఫీలింగ్ బాగా ఏర్పడి నిజానికి మళ్ళీ యుద్ధానికి రెడీ అయ్యారు. ఆయుధ సంపత్తిని పెంచుకున్నారు, సైనిక బలగాన్ని నిజంగా పెంచుకోవడం జరిగింది. మళ్ళీ ఎందుకంటే ఇంకోసారి యుద్ధం చేద్దాం. సో ఒక యుద్ధము ఒక ఒక మన ఫెయిల్ కావడం, ఇది అంతర్జాతీయ సంస్థలు అయితే ఫెయిల్ కావడం కూడా సెకండ్ వరల్డ్ వార్ ఒక మన ఇది ఏంటంటే ఒక కారణం అని చెప్పొచ్చాను. సో ఆ విధంగా అతను యుద్ధాలు ఏ విధంగా జరగాల. అయితే ఇందులో మనము చెప్పుకోదగ్గది ఏంటంటే కమ్యూనిస్టులు కూడా నిజానికి మన ఒక దేశం ఇంకొక దేశం నుండి దురాక్రమణ మన ఇంకో దేశాన్ని దురాక్రమణను గురి చేసినప్పుడు, ఒక దేశం ఇంకో దేశంపై దండెత్తినప్పుడు నిజానికి అది మన అన్యాయమైన ఇది వాదనని, అన్యాయమైన పద్ధతిని దానికి ఆపడానికి ప్రయత్నం చేశారు. సో శాంతి కాముకత అనేది చాలా ముఖ్యమైన అంతర్జాతీయ సంబంధాలలో. మరి ఇంకా మనము ఇంకా వేరే అంశాలను కనుక చూస్తే గాంధీవాదం యొక్క ఈనాటి పరిస్థితుల్లో ఎంతవరకు రెలివెంట్, ఎంతవరకు ఉపయోగకరమైందని కనుక చూస్తే చాలా బాగుంటుందని నేను భావిస్తున్నాను. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, మన యుక్రెయిన్ మరియు రష్యా మధ్యన యుద్ధం జరుగుతుంది. మరి శాంతియుత పద్ధతులను అవలంబించకపోతే నిజానికి మానవ మనుగడ కూడా ఎదిగే అవకాశం ఉందా లేదా అనేది మనము ఆలోచించవలసి ఉంటుంది. దాన్ని ఏ విధంగానైనా యుద్ధాన్ని ఆపాలంటే. సో ఇటువంటి సందర్భంలో గాంధీజీ పాసిఫిజం ఇన్ జనరల్ అంటే మన శాంతి అనేది చాలా ముఖ్యము అనేది మనకు తెలిసిందే. ఏ విధంగా అంటే శాంతిని పాటించకపోతే మొట్టమొదటి కానీ మధ్యని కానీ యుద్ధం చివరి కానీ శాంతి పద్ధతి అనేదే పరిష్కారం, ఇంకా వేరే పద్ధతి లేదు అని నిజంగా చెప్పొచ్చు. అంతేకాకుండా ఫస్ట్ వరల్డ్ వార్ బట్టి చూస్తే యుద్ధాన్ని నిజంగా ఆపాలంటే దానికి ఇరు వర్గాల వరకు దానికి న్యాయం జరగాల, లేకపోతే మళ్ళీ యుద్ధం చేయడం జరుగుతుంది, మళ్ళీ యుద్ధం రావడానికి అవకాశం ఉంటుంది. సో ఈరోజు గాంధీ యొక్క శాంతివాదంకి ఉపయోగాలు ఏంటివి? ఒకటి ఏంటంటే యుద్ధాన్ని చేయడానికి ఆయుధాలు కావాలా, అది ఏరోప్లేన్ కావచ్చు, మన ఇంకా వేరే అవసరాలు ఉండొచ్చు, ఏరోప్లేన్ కావచ్చు, వేరే అవసరం ఉండదు, సైన్యము, సైనికాధికారులు, తర్వాత అనేక రంగాలలో పెట్టుబడులు పెట్టడానికి దానికి మన ఇది డబ్బులు సంపద ఖర్చు చేయవలసి వస్తుంది. అంటే మనం ఏం తెలుసుకోవాలంటే మన శాంతివాదం యొక్క ముఖ్యంగా ప్రాధాన్యత, శాంతివాదం యొక్క ప్రాముఖ్యత ఏంటంటే యుద్ధం చేస్తే దానికి ఆర్థిక అభివృద్ధి కుంటుపడుతుంది. యుద్ధం చేస్తే దేశంలో ఆర్థిక సంక్షోభం ఏర్పడుతుంది. తర్వాత యుద్ధం చేస్తే మన ఒక దేశానికి అనేక విధాలుగా వచ్చే రెవెన్యూ ఆదాయం ఏదైతే ఉంటుందో ఆ ఆదాయాన్ని యుద్ధానికే వెచ్చించవలసి వస్తుంది, యుద్ధానికే డైవర్ట్ చేయవలసి వస్తుంది. ఇప్పుడు నిజానికి యుక్రెయిన్ యొక్క ప్రజలు, తర్వాత యుక్రెయిన్ ప్రజలు ఎంత సఫర్ అవుతున్నారు, ఎంత బాధపడుతున్నారు, తర్వాత యుక్రెయిన్ యొక్క ప్రజలతో ఉన్న సంబంధాలు, యుక్రెయిన్ దేశానికి ఉన్న యుక్రెయిన్ దేశానికి, తర్వాత ఇతరులు తమ వద్ద తమకున్న సంబంధాలు నిజంగా ఎలా ఉన్నాయో అవి ఎలా ఉండాలని వాళ్ళు భావిస్తున్నారో వాళ్ళు కూడా డైరెక్ట్గా ఇన్వాల్వ్ కాని వాళ్ళు కూడా ఏ విధంగా యుద్ధం విద్యను ఆగిపోవాలా, తర్వాత అభివృద్ధి జరగాల, తర్వాత మనము నార్మల్ జీవితాన్ని కూడా జీవించాలని అనుకునే వాళ్ళు చాలామంది ఉన్నారు. అయితే అది జనరల్, ఏది యుద్ధం ఆపితే మానవ అభివృద్ధికి, తర్వాత అభివృద్ధికి కావలసిన జనరల్ అది మన ఎటువంటి ఆర్థిక పరిస్థితులైనా కూడా ఆర్థిక అభివృద్ధి జరగాలంటే దానికి యుద్ధం జరగకుండా యుద్ధాన్ని ఆపడానికి అనేక ప్రయత్నాలు జరగాలి. అందుకొరకు ఏమనికి మన శంకర్ అనే అతను ఇది అంబాసిడర్, తర్వాత మరి ఇతరులు కూడా నిజంగా యుద్ధాన్ని ఆపడానికి చెప్పే ప్రయత్నాలు చేసుకుంటే మనం ప్రతిరోజు వార్తలు చదువుతున్నాం. అదేవిధంగా మన యుద్ధాన్ని ఆపడానికి ఆర్థిక రంగం ద్వారా మన ట్రంప్, ఇది అమెరికన్ ప్రెసిడెంట్, ఈ విధంగా తయారు చేస్తున్నాడు. మీరు యుద్ధం ఆపకపోతే మీ దగ్గర నుంచి మేము ఏదైతే దిగుమతి తీసుకుంటున్నాం వాటి మీద ట్యాక్స్ ఇచ్చేస్తానండి. అదేవిధంగా టారిఫ్స్, ఎగుమతుల మధ్య దిగుమతులకి, అంటే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మనము ఇది అమెరికాకి అనేక వస్తువులను ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ చేస్తున్నాం. ఎక్కువ ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ చేసినప్పుడు మన గవర్నమెంటు, అంటే ఎక్స్పోర్ట్లను తీసుకునే గవర్నమెంటు, వాడుకునే ప్రజలు ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో వాళ్ళు ఈ పద్ధతులను అవలంబించక తప్పదు. అయితే మన ఈ ఎక్స్పోర్ట్స్ ఇంపోర్ట్స్ జరుగుతున్నప్పుడు నిజానికి తమ యొక్క సలహాలను, తమ యొక్క పాలసీలను ఆమోదించడం లేదు. కాబట్టి వీళ్ళ మీద దానికి ప్రెషర్ ఉత్పత్తి, ఇది మన మారల్ ప్రెషర్ తీసుకురావాలా అని నిజానికి మన ట్రంప్ అనేక దేశాల మీద ఎక్కువ ట్యాక్స్ వసూలు చేయడము, ఎక్కువ తమ ఆదాయం కోసం పనిచేయడము జరుగుతుంది. సో అటువంటి వాతావరణంలో దానికి ఇంత శాంతి తప్ప ఇంకో ఆల్టర్నేటివ్ అనేది మనం చెప్పగలం. ఎందుకంటే ఇప్పుడు ట్రంప్ ఏం చేసినా, ఇటు మోడీ ఏం చేసినా సఫర్ అయ్యేది అటు రష్యాలో పుతిన్, వ్లాడిమిర్ పుతిన్, ఇటు జెలెన్స్కీ, ఇది ఉక్రెయిన్ జెలెన్స్కీ. వాళ్ళు ఎంత సఫర్ అవుతున్నది మనం దాన్ని మనన చేసుకొని ఆలోచించి దానికి మనం మన భావనకి కంక్లూజన్కి వస్తేనే దానికి మనం ఈ సబ్జెక్ట్కి జస్టిస్ న్యాయం చేయగలని చెప్పొచ్చు అన్నట్టు. అయితే మన ఇంకా ఫ్యామిలీ, సోషల్ అండ్ ఫ్యామిలీ మన ఎదుర్కొనే బాధలు, ఎదుర్కొనే యుద్ధాలు, ఎదుర్కొనే ఇబ్బందులు, ఆ పరంగా ఆ కోణం వెనుక చూస్తే కూడా దానికి యుద్ధం చేసినప్పుడు అందులో యుద్ధానికి తమకు ఏ ఆధారం లేక, తినడానికి సంపాదించే ఆధారం లేక యుద్ధంలో జాయిన్ అవుతారు. ఎదుటివాడిని చంపాలని చూస్తారు, ఎదుటివాడిని. అయితే అందులో ఒక హీరోయిక్ ఫీలింగ్ కూడా ఉంటుంది. కాబట్టి చాలామంది ఈ శాంతియుత పద్ధతులను అవలంబించడానికి ప్రయత్నం చేయడం జరుగుతుంది. సో ముఖ్యంగా ఆర్థికంగా, తర్వాత విత్తపరంగా అనేక లాభాలు, అంటే మన శాంతి పద్ధతుల్లో అవలంబిస్తే మన ఖర్చుల పరంగా ఎంతో మన లాభదాయకంగా ఉంటుంది. ఆ ఫండ్స్ అనేది ఏదైతే ఉన్నదో ఆ ఫండ్స్ని దానికి ఇతర మన మానవ అభివృద్ధి కార్యక్రమాలపై పెట్టచ్చు అని నిజంగా చెప్పవచ్చు అన్నమాట. అయితే ఇంకోటి ఏంటంటే, మనుషులు చావకుండా ఉంటే, సామాన్యంగా ఏం చేస్తున్నాం, పాలనించినా ఏం చేసినా కూడా మనుషులు చావకుండా ఉండాలా, బ్రతకాలనేది నిజానికి మానవత్వము, తర్వాత నిజాయితీ కదా. అయితే యుద్ధం చేసినప్పుడు నిజానికి అనేక మంది సైనికులు, అనేక మంది ప్రజలు చచ్చిపోవడం జరుగుతుందండి. అది పెద్ద యుద్ధం అని, పెద్ద దేశం అయినా కూడా అక్కడ చచ్చిపోరు అనేది అనుకోవద్దు. ఎందుకంటే ఈరోజు చూసాం కదా, జెలెన్స్కీ ఇతరులు రష్యాను మన పూర్తిగా ఓడించకున్నా, రష్యాను సరిగ్గా మన సమర్థవంతంగా ఎదుర్కోకున్నా కూడా అక్కడ అతను చేసే కార్యక్రమాలు చాలా ముఖ్యమైనవి అని చెప్పొచ్చు. అది ఎందుకంటే శాంతియుత కాముకత అనేది ఒక ఇంపార్టెంట్ మన మనిషిలో ఒక మానవ ధర్మం. చాలామంది శాంతి కాముకులై ఉంటారు. సో ఈ విధంగా మనము శాంతియుత పద్ధతులను అవలంబిస్తే, నెగోషియేషన్ చేస్తే దానికి ప్రజల మధ్యన, కుటుంబాల మధ్యన, దేశాల మధ్యన దానికి శాంతి నెలకొల్పబడుతుంది. తర్వాత దానికి అది ఒక రకమైన మనం అవలంబించగలిగిన పాలసీ అని మనం చెప్పవచ్చు. పర్టికులర్గా పర్సనల్గా తప్పకుండా అది అవలంబించాలా, శాంతియుత పద్ధతులను అందరూ అనుభవించాలా అని చెప్పాలి. సో ఇప్పుడు మనము ఈ శాంతివాదము ఈ యొక్క రెలివెన్స్, ఈ యొక్క మన ఏది శాంతివాదం యొక్క రెలివెన్స్, ఒక 1 minute ప్లీజ్. ప్రేరేపించే పరిస్థితులను ఆపడానికి నిజంగా ఏ విధంగా ఐక్యరాజ్య సమితి ఉందో, ఐక్యరాజ్య సమితి నిజానికి చాలా సందర్భాల్లో యుద్ధాన్ని మన ఆపగలిగిందని. కానీ ఇంకా శాంతిని స్థాపించడానికి, శాంతిని అవలంబించి తర్వాత శాంతియుత పద్ధతులను అవలంబించడానికి ఏర్పాటు చేసిన సంస్థలు ఏదైతే ఉన్నాయో ఆ సంస్థలు, అందులో ముఖ్యమైనవి చాలా మన యుఎన్ఓ ఐక్యరాజ్య సమితి మరియు తన కింద తన యొక్క ఆధ్వర్యంలో పనిచేసే అనేక సంస్థలు దానికి ఈరోజు ఈ శాంతిని స్థాపించడంలో కొంతవరకు విఫలమైనని చెప్పచ్చు. కానీ ఇదివరకు కొన్ని సందర్భాలలో యుఎన్ఓ అంతర్జాతీయ ఐక్యరాజ్య సమితి దానికి మన చాలా సందర్భాలలో యుద్ధాలు ఆపడం జరిగింది, శాంతిని ఎక్స్ప్లాయిట్ చేయడం జరిగింది. తర్వాత మన దేశాలకు కావలసిన బలహీనమైన దేశాలకు కావలసిన వాళ్ళకి అనేక విధాలుగా ఆర్థికంగా, సామాజికంగా, తర్వాత మన సోషల్ ఈవిల్స్, మన ఆర్థిక సంక్షోభాలు మరియు వీటన్నిటి ఆపడానికి దానికి యుఎన్ఓ దానికి పనిచేసిందని చెప్పవచ్చు. కానీ అది శాంతిని స్థాపించడానికి ఇంకా అది మన ఏమంటారు దాన్ని అధికారాలు కావాలా, మద్దతు కావాలా. అప్పుడే అది తన యొక్క లక్ష్యాలను, తను చేసిన నిర్ణయాలను, తన యొక్క ఉద్దేశాలను నిజాన్ని అమలు చేయడం జరుగుతుంది. ఈరోజు కనుక మనం చూస్తే అనేక విధాల మన యుఎన్ఓ మన ఈ రష్యా మరియు వారు ఆపడానికి ప్రయత్నం చేసింది. కానీ అది మన రష్యా యొక్క నాయకుడు ఇది మన పుతిన్, పుతిన్ ఏదైతే ఉన్నాడో అది మన యుఎన్ యొక్క సలహాలను కానీ, తర్వాత ట్రంప్ మరియు ఇతరుల యొక్క మన సలహాలను కానీ దానికి అతను పాటించండి. అయితే అటువంటి ఆ విధంగా అప్పుడు పాటించినప్పుడు ఈయన ఐక్యరాజ్య సమితి ఏం చేయాలనేది అంటే చూస్తే అది సెక్యూరిటీ కౌన్సిల్ని యుద్ధాన్ని ఆపడానికి, తర్వాత మన ఇంకా కఠినమైన మన నిర్ణయాలు తీసుకొని యుద్ధాన్ని అవలంబించి యుద్ధ పద్ధతులు హింసా పద్ధతులు అవలంబించే వాళ్ళను ఆపాలా అనే దానికి కనుక అందుకని చూస్తే మనం యుద్ధానికి యుఎన్ఓకి ఇంకా కొన్ని అధికారులు ఇవ్వాలా, తన యొక్క శాంతియుత పద్ధతులను మన అవలంబించడానికి, మన ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేయడానికి దానికి అందరి యొక్క సమర్థత, మన ఆమోదము అవసరము. అయితే ఇందులో ముఖ్యమైనది మనము తెలుసుకోవాల్సిందంటే ఎక్కడ ఫెయిల్ అవుతుంది అంటే దానికి సెక్యూరిటీ కౌన్సిల్ అంటే ఒకటి ఉంది ముఖ్యంగా. అందులో ముఖ్యమైనగా మన ఈ చైనా, రష్యా, బ్రిటను, అమెరికా ఇటువంటి దేశాలు ఉన్నాయి. ఆ దేశంలో అది నిజానికి అది నిర్ణయం తీసుకుంటే అంటే యుద్ధం ఆపాలా అని నిర్ణయం తీసుకుంటే నిజానికి అది ఆ యుద్ధం ఆపత్తి, లేకపోతే ఏదో దాని మన ఎవరైతే దురాక్రమణ పడుతున్నారో వాళ్ళ మీద యుద్ధం చేయడం జరుగుతుంది. అయితే ఒకవేళ సెక్యూరిటీ కౌన్సిల్ నిర్ణయం తీసుకుంటే నిజానికి ఏముందంటే వీటో పవర్ అనేది ఒకటి ఉంది. ఏది యుఎన్ఓ. ఆ వీటో పవర్ ఉండడం వల్ల నిజానికి యుఎన్ఓ తీసుకున్న నిర్ణయాలని నిజానికి మన ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేయడానికి యుఎన్ఓకి చేత కావడం లేదు. తర్వాత దానికి ఉన్న ఇంకా ఆస్తులు తక్కువ ఉన్నాయి. దాని తర్వాత మన మన అందులో ఇంపార్టెంట్ నాయకులు కూడా ఇన్వాల్వ్ అయి ఉన్నారు. కాబట్టి అది యుద్ధము ఆపలేకపోతుంది, శాంతిని నెలకొల్పలేకపోతుంది. సో ఈ విధంగా మనము ఈరోజు గాంధీ అవలంబించిన మరియు ప్రబోధించిన శాంతివాదం ఏదైతే ఉన్నదో మన అశాంతివాదం యొక్క ప్రాముఖ్యత ఏందో నిజంగా ఈ మన లెక్చర్లో నిజంగా అందరికీ అర్థమైంది అనుకుంటా. తర్వాత అందరికీ నిజంగా ఒక కొత్త ఉత్సాహం అది కూడా అంటే మీరు కూడా మీ దళ జాతీయ స్థాయిలోనూ అంతర్జాతీయ స్థాయిలోనూ మీరు కూడా ఈ పద్ధతిని పొలిటికల్ సైంటిస్ట్ కాబోతున్నారు కాబట్టి మీరు కూడా ఈ పద్ధతిని అర్థం చేసుకొని సమర్థించి అవలంబించి ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేయడానికి ప్రయత్నం చేయాలని కోరుతూ ఇంతటి లెక్చర్ ముగిస్తాను.
নমস্কাৰ। আজি মই তোমালোকৰ লগত সেইদিনাখন ন্যায় বিষয়ে আলোচনা কৰিছিলোঁ আৰু এই বিষয়ে আজি আকৌ কণ্টিনিউ কৰিম, কাৰণ সেইদিনাখন কৈছিলোঁ যে শেষ হোৱা নাছিলে, কিন্তু আগৰ কথাখিনি নিশ্চয় তোমালোকৰ মনত আছে। ন্যায় কাক বোলে মই জাষ্ট অলপ ব্ৰাছ আপে তোমালোকৰ লগত কৰিম, পিছৰখিনি আকৌ মই তোমালোকক বিতংভাৱে আলোচনা কৰিম। এনেই ন্যায় বুলি ক'লেনো কি আহে আমাৰ মনলৈ? যে মই কিবা এটা বস্তুৰ পৰা যেতিয়া বঞ্চিত হৈছোঁ, তাৰমানে মই ন্যায় পোৱা নাই, গতিকে মোৰ মেইন লক্ষ্য বা মোৰ মেইন উদ্দেশ্য হৈছে কি যে মই বঞ্চিত হ'ব নালাগে। ঠিক তেনেকৈ মই যেনেকৈ কিবা এটাৰ পৰা বঞ্চিত হ'লে মোৰ ওপৰত অন্যায় কৰা হ'ব, ঠিক তেনেকৈ অন্য এজনে পাবলগীয়া বস্তুটোৰ পৰা বঞ্চিত হ'লে সেইটোক ন্যায় দিয়া নহ'ব। গতিকে ন্যায় বুলি কওঁতে এটা সঠিক ডেফিনেশ্যন দিবলৈ খুবেই টান, কিন্তু যোনে যি বিচাৰিছে, যাৰ যিটো প্ৰাপ্য, সেই প্ৰাপ্যটোৰ পৰা বঞ্চিত নহ'লে আমি তাক ন্যায় বুলি ক'ব পাৰোঁ। ইয়াত আমি বেছিকেলি প্লেটো এৰিষ্টটলৰ ন্যায় কনচেপ্টৰ ওপৰত বেছি গুৰুত্ব দিছে। তাৰ উপৰিও আমি কি দেখিছোঁ যে আমাৰ ইয়াত কিছুমান ন্যায় আছে, যাক আমি ধৰা লিগেল ন্যায় বা বৈধিক ন্যায় বুলি কওঁ, বা সামাজিক ন্যায় আৰু ৰাজনৈতিক ন্যায়, ইকনমিক ন্যায়, এইখিনি বিষয়ে আমি আলোচনা কৰিম। তাৰ আগতে আমি অকণমান প্লেটো আৰু এৰিষ্টটলে তেওঁলোকৰ ন্যায় বিষয়েনো কি কৈছে সেইটো আমি অকণমান চাওঁ। তো প্লেটোৰ যিটো ন্যায় কনচেপ্ট, ছ'চিয়েল জাষ্টিছ বা সামাজিক ন্যায়, আমি দুটা দিশৰ পৰা তাক চাব পাৰোঁ। মানে সামাজিক ন্যায় দিশৰ পৰা আমি তাক অধ্যয়ন কৰিব পাৰোঁ, বা ইণ্ডিভিজুৱেল জাষ্টিছ বা ব্যক্তিগত ন্যায় ৰূপেও আমি তাক অধ্যয়ন কৰিব পাৰোঁ। গতিকে আমি এইখিনিতে এইটোৱে ক'ব লাগিব যে আমাৰ সমাজৰ প্ৰত্যেক শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকৰ কি আছে, আনৰ কৰ্তব্যৰ ওপৰত হস্তক্ষেপ নকৰাকৈ নিজৰ নিজৰ কৰ্তব্য কৰি যাব পৰাটোৱে আমি ন্যায় বুলি ক'ব পাৰোঁ। গতিকে এই ক্ষেত্ৰত প্লেটোৱে মানুহৰ যিটো মন, সেই মনটোক তেওঁ তিনিটা ভাগত ভাগ কৰিছিলে। আমি আগতেও এইটো মই তোমালোকক কৈছোঁ, এটা হৈছে জ্ঞান, এটা হৈছে সাহস আৰু এটা হৈছে ক্ষুধা। গতিকে এই তিনিটা প্ৰবৃত্তিত ভাগ কৰি তেওঁ তিনিটা সমাজত শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকৰ সৃষ্টি কৰিছে। মানুহৰ মনটোক তিনিটা ভাগত ভাগ কৰি পেলাই সমাজত তেওঁ তিনি শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকৰ সৃষ্টি কৰিছে। এটা হৈছে জ্ঞানী শ্ৰেণী। এই জ্ঞানী শ্ৰেণীৰ কৰ্তব্য হৈছে কি যে তেওঁ গুণ জ্ঞান, তেওঁ জ্ঞানী ৰজা হ'ব, তেওঁ প্ৰশাসন চলাব। সাহসী লোকৰ কাম হৈছে কি যে তেওঁলোকে দেশ ৰক্ষা কৰিব। আৰু উৎপাদক শ্ৰেণী, এওঁলোকে কি কৰিব, দেশৰ কাৰণে তেওঁলোকে সম্পদ উৎপাদন কৰিব। গতিকে প্লেটোৱে মানুহৰ মনক তেওঁ কি কৰিছে, জ্ঞানৰ প্ৰবৃত্তিত যাৰ তেওঁ দেখিছে, যাৰ মনত জ্ঞানৰ প্ৰবৃত্তি দেখিছে, তাক তেওঁ শাসনৰ দায়িত্ব তেওঁক দিছে। আৰু যিসকলৰ মনত তেওঁ সাহসৰ প্ৰবৃত্তি দেখিছে, সেইসকল লোকক তেওঁ কি দিছে, তেওঁ প্ৰতিৰক্ষাৰ দায়িত্ব দিব বিচাৰিছে। আৰু যিসকলৰ মনত ক্ষুধা ভাৱ দেখিছে, তেতিয়াহ'লে তেওঁলোকক তেওঁ কি দিছে, উৎপাদন কৰিবৰ কাৰণে দিছে। গতিকে এইদৰে তেওঁ মানুহক তিনিটা শ্ৰেণীত ভাগ কৰি পেলাইছে। এটা হৈছে শাসক, এটা হৈছে উৎপাদন কৰা, আৰু এটা হৈছে যি দেশ ৰক্ষা কৰিব পাৰিব। গতিকে এই ধৰণে তেওঁ ছ'চিয়েল জাষ্টিছ বুলি তেওঁ সেইটো ভাগ কৰিছে। ইণ্ডিভিজুৱেল জাষ্টিছ বা ব্যক্তিগত ন্যায়ৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত তেওঁ কি ক'ব বিচাৰিছে যে আমি তেওঁ অহস্তক্ষেপ নীতিৰ ওপৰত গুৰুত্ব দিছে, নন ইণ্টাৰফিয়াৰেঞ্চ বুলি কিয় কৈছে যে তেওঁৰ যিটো ন্যায় কনচেপ্ট দিছে, প্ৰত্যেকটা তিনিটা ভাগত ভাগ কৰিছে। প্ৰত্যেক ভাগৰ মানুহে নিজৰ নিজৰ দায়িত্বসমূহ ভাল ধৰণে পালন কৰিব বা নিজৰ নিজৰ কামবিলাক পালন কৰিব। গতিকে ইটোৱে সিটোৰ নীতিত কেতিয়াও হস্তক্ষেপ নকৰে। যিসকল লোকৰ মনত কি আছে, জ্ঞান বা বুদ্ধি আছে, তেওঁলোকে সদায় প্ৰশাসনৰ দায়িত্ব গ্ৰহণ কৰিব লাগিব। আৰু যিসকলৰ শক্তি আৰু সাহস আছে, তেওঁলোকে প্ৰতিৰক্ষাৰ দায়িত্ব বহন কৰিব লাগিব। আৰু যিসকলৰ ক্ষুধা আছে, তেওঁলোকে উৎপাদন কৰিব লাগিব। গতিকে এই শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকসকলৰ মাজত যেতিয়া কামবিলাক বিতৰণ কৰি দিয়া হৈছে, ইটোৱে সিটোৰ গাত ইটোৰ কামত হস্তক্ষেপ নকৰাকৈ নিজৰ নিজৰ কামত তেওঁলোকে আগবাঢ়ি যাব পাৰিব। তাৰোপৰি আমি তেওঁৰ যদি ন্যায় কনচেপ্টটো ভালকৈ বিশ্লেষণ কৰি চাওঁ, তেতিয়াহ'লে আমি কি দেখিম যে ইয়াত এটা সমৰূপ নীতি আমি দিব পাৰিম। কিহৰ কাৰণে? প্লেটোৰে তেওঁৰ যি তিনিটা ভাগত ভাগ কৰিছে, শাসক শ্ৰেণী, সৈনিক শ্ৰেণী আৰু উৎপাদন শ্ৰেণী, এই তিনিটাক লৈ পেলাইহে তেওঁ কৈছে যে এখন সমাজ তেওঁ গঠন কৰিছে। গতিকে এখন সমাজত এই তিনি শ্ৰেণীৰ লোক থাকিবই। গতিকে তেওঁ যিখন সমাজ ব্যৱস্থাৰ কথা আমাৰ আগত কৈছে, এই সমাজ ব্যৱস্থাত এই তিনি শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকক আমি সদায় দেখিবলৈ পাম। আৰু এই সমাজখনৰ উন্নতিৰ কাৰণে এই তিনিও শ্ৰেণীৰ যিটো অৱদান, সেইখিনি নোহোৱাকৈ এখন সমাজ কেতিয়াও আগবাঢ়ি যাব নোৱাৰিব। গতিকে এক শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকে উৎকৰ্ষ সাধনৰ কাৰণে অধিক গুৰুত্ব দিয়া আৰু আন শ্ৰেণীৰ উন্নতিৰ কাৰণে কোনো ব্যৱস্থা গ্ৰহণ নকৰাটো হ'ব অন্যায়। গতিকে তেওঁ কি কৈছে যে এচাম শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকে নিজৰ উন্নতিটোৰ কাৰণে বেছিকৈ আগবাঢ়ি গ'লে আৰু আনৰ কাৰণে আগ নাবঢ়ালে বা অন্য শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকসকল আগবাঢ়িব নোৱাৰিলে সেইটো কিন্তু অন্যায় হ'ব। সেইকাৰণে তেওঁ কৈছে যে ব্যক্তিগত ক্ষেত্ৰতো প্ৰত্যেক ব্যক্তিৰ মনৰ তিনিটা প্ৰবৃত্তি সমানে উৎকৰ্ষ সাধন কৰাটোৰ ওপৰত তেওঁ গুৰুত্ব দিছিল যে সমাজ এখনত যদি আমি উন্নতিৰ আধাৰত আগবঢ়াই নিবলৈ হয় তেতিয়াহ'লে সমাজৰ সকলো শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকৰ সমানে আগবাঢ়ি যাব পাৰিব লাগিব। এচাম শ্ৰেণী আগবাঢ়ি গ'ল, এচাম শ্ৰেণী আগবাঢ়ি নগ'ল, তেতিয়া কেতিয়াও উন্নতি নহয়। তাৰোপৰি তেওঁ কি কৈছে যে পাৰদৰ্শিতা থকা দক্ষতাৰ সৃষ্টি কৰে। পাৰদৰ্শিতাই কি কৰে? দক্ষতাৰ সৃষ্টি কৰে। তেওঁ যিটো তিনিটা ভাগত ভাগ কৰি দিলে যে এই মানুহজনৰ জ্ঞান আছে গতিকে তেওঁ প্ৰশাসনত থাকিব, এই মানুহজনৰ মনত সাহস আছে গতিকে তেওঁ প্ৰতিৰক্ষাত আহিব। গতিকে তেওঁ কি কৰিলে? সেই ব্যক্তিজনক সেই কামটোত তেওঁ স্পেচিয়েলাইজ কৰি দিলে নে নাই? তেওঁৰ নীতি অফ স্পেচিয়েলাইজেশ্যন বা থিয়ৰী অফ স্পেচিয়েলাইজেশ্যন তেওঁ ফ'ল' কৰে। গতিকে এইটো কৰাৰ কাৰণে তেওঁ কি কৰিছে? প্ৰত্যেকজন মানুহ পাৰদৰ্শিতা নিজৰ নিজৰ এৰিয়াত নিজৰ নিজৰ ফিল্ডত তেওঁলোকে দেখুৱাব পাৰিছে। তাৰোপৰি গতিকে এজন ব্যক্তিয়ে ছাপ'জ এজন মানুহে এজন টেইলাৰ, তেওঁ চিলাই কৰি পেলাই তেওঁ জীৱিকা উপাৰ্জন কৰে। তেওঁ যিহেতু অকল চিলাই কামতে নিজকে আবদ্ধ কৰি ৰাখিব গতিকে তেওঁ চিলাইখিনি কৰোঁতে কি হৈছে? তেওঁ নিজকে বহুত ছুপাৰ স্পেচিয়েলাইজ কৰি তুলিব পাৰিছে। তেওঁ কিটো কেনেকৈ নিজকে সেই লাইনটোত তেওঁ কেনেকৈ আগবাঢ়ি যাব বা সেই লাইনটোত কেনেকৈ আগবঢ়াই নিব পাৰিব সেইটো তেওঁ ধৰিব পাৰিছে। গতিকে মানুহৰ তেওঁ স্পেচিয়েলাইজেশ্যন কৰিছে আৰু যেতিয়া এখন সমাজত স্পেচিয়েলাইজড মানুহ থাকিব তেতিয়া সেই সমাজখনে সেই পাৰ্টিকুলাৰ কামটোত বহুত আগবাঢ়ি যাব পাৰিব বা বহুত ভালকৈ আগবাঢ়িব পাৰে। তাত প্লেটৰ যিটো ন্যায় কনচেপ্ট তাত সহযোগিতাৰ সংকল্প আছে বা ব্যৱস্থা আছে। তাত তেওঁ যিটো কনচেপ্ট অফ জাষ্টিছ দিছে সেই কনচেপ্ট অফ জাষ্টিছত কি আছে? এটাৰ মাজত আনটোৰ সহযোগিতা আমি দেখিবলৈ পাইছোঁ। সমাজৰ প্ৰত্যেক শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকে নিজৰ নিজৰ কামত ব্যৱস্থা থাকিব লগা হোৱাৰ কাৰণে জীৱন নিৰ্বাহৰ কাৰণে এটা শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকে আন শ্ৰেণীৰ ওপৰত নিৰ্ভৰশীল কৰিব লগা হয়। গতিকে এনে শাসনত কি দেখা গৈছে যে শাসক শ্ৰেণীৰ ওপৰত নিৰ্ভৰ কৰিবলগীয়া হৈছে বা প্ৰতিৰক্ষাৰ বাবে সৈনিকৰ শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকৰ ওপৰত নিৰ্ভৰ কৰিবলগীয়া হৈছে। সেইদৰে যিসকলে খাদ্য সামগ্ৰী উৎপাদন কৰে অন্য লোকে তেওঁলোকৰ ওপৰত নিৰ্ভৰ কৰিবলগীয়া হয়। গতিকে এজন লোকে তেওঁ নিজৰ কামত ব্যস্ত থকাৰ কাৰণে বাকী সামগ্ৰীৰ কাৰণে তেওঁৰ কি হয়? আনৰ ওপৰত নিৰ্ভৰ কৰিবলগীয়া হয়। তেওঁ এটা লাইনতহে পাৰদৰ্শিতা দেখুৱালে, চিলাই কৰিব জনাজনে চিলাই কৰিলে, গান গাব জনাজনে গান গালে, মাটিৰ পট বা মাটিৰ বস্তু বনাব কমাৰৰ লাইনত পাৰদৰ্শিতা দেখুৱালে, কিন্তু তেওঁতো প্ৰতিৰক্ষাক আগবাঢ়ি আহিব নোৱাৰে বা তেওঁ দেশ শাসনত আগবাঢ়ি আহিব নোৱাৰে। গতিকে দেশ শাসন কৰিবৰ কাৰণে তেওঁ অন্যৰ ওপৰত নিৰ্ভৰশীল। গতিকে ইয়াত পৰস্পৰৰ ওপৰত নিৰ্ভৰশীলতাৰ তত্ত্ব এটা আমি ইয়াত দেখিবলৈ পাওঁ। ঠিক এনেকৈ এজনে আন এজনৰ ওপৰত নিৰ্ভৰ কৰিব লগা হোৱাৰ কাৰণে সমাজৰ বিভিন্ন শ্ৰেণী আৰু বিভিন্ন ব্যক্তিৰ মাজত সহযোগিতা আৰু পৰস্পৰ নিৰ্ভৰশীলতাৰ সৃষ্টি হৈছে। যিহেতু এচাম লোকে আন এচাম লোকৰ ওপৰত নিৰ্ভৰ কৰিবলগীয়া হৈছে বা ইজনে সিজনৰ ওপৰত ভিত্তি কৰি কাম কাজবোৰ কৰিবলগীয়া হৈছে, গতিকে এই আত্মনিৰ্ভৰশীলতাটো বা তেওঁলোকৰ মাজত এটা কোঅপাৰেশ্যন বা কোঅৰ্ডিনেশ্যন আমি দেখিবলৈ পাইছোঁ। প্লেটৰ যিটো ন্যায় ধাৰণা তাত ব্যক্তি আৰু সমাজৰ মাজৰ সম্পৰ্ক ভালদৰে প্ৰকাশ পাইছে। তেওঁৰ যিটো ন্যায় তত্ত্ব তাত ব্যক্তি আৰু সমাজৰ মাজত থকা যিটো পাৰ্থক্য সেই পাৰ্থক্যটো আমি সম্পূৰ্ণৰূপে দেখিবলৈ পাইছোঁ। ব্যক্তিৰ দ্বাৰা সমাজ গঠিত হয় আৰু সেয়েহে সমাজ আৰু ব্যক্তি সমাজৰ এটা অংগ আছে। ব্যক্তিক লৈ পেলাই এখন সমাজ গঠন কৰা হৈছে, গতিকে ব্যক্তি সমাজৰ এটা অংগ। প্ৰত্যেক ব্যক্তিয়ে সমাজৰ উন্নতিৰ কাৰণে অৰিহণা যোগাব লাগিব। প্ৰত্যেকজন ব্যক্তিয়ে সমাজৰ উন্নতিৰ কাৰণে তেওঁলোকে অৰিহণা যোগাব লাগিব। গতিকে প্ৰত্যেক ব্যক্তিয়ে নিজে যি কাম কৰাৰ কাৰণে উপযুক্ত সেই কাম সুচাৰুৰূপে সম্পাদন কৰিব লাগিব। গতিকে এজন ব্যক্তিয়ে নিজে যিটো কাম কৰিবলৈ পাৰে সেই কামটো তেওঁ সুচাৰুৰূপে বা ভালকৈ তেওঁ কৰিব লাগিব। সেইটোৱে সমাজেও প্ৰত্যেক ব্যক্তিয়ে যি কামৰ কাৰণে উপযুক্ত সেই কামত তেওঁক নিয়োগ কৰিব লাগিব। এইটো এটা কমন কথা যে আমি যিজন মানুহে যিটো কামৰ কাৰণে উপযোগী সেই মানুহজনক সেই কামটো যদি কৰিবলৈ দিয়া নহয় তেতিয়াহ'লে তেওঁ কেতিয়াও সেই কামটো ভাল কৰিব নোৱাৰে এজন ডাক্তৰে তেওঁ ডাক্তৰী বিদ্যাতহে তেওঁ পাৰ্গত তেওঁ ডাক্তৰী লাইনত তেওঁ যাক যেনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ ট্ৰিটমেণ্ট দিব লাগে তেওঁ সেই ট্ৰিটমেণ্টটো দিব পাৰিব কিন্তু ডাক্তৰ এজনক নি পেলাই যদি ইঞ্জিনিয়াৰিং কামত লগোৱা হয় তেওঁক এখন দলং বনাবলৈ দিয়া হয় বা তেওঁক এটা বিল্ডিং বনাবলৈ দিয়া হয় তেতিয়াহ'লে তেওঁ সেই কামটো কৰিব নোৱাৰিব গতিকে যাৰ যিটো লাইনত নলেজ আছে যাৰ যিটো লাইনত পাৰদৰ্শিতা আছে তেওঁক সেই কামটোৱে কৰিবলৈ দিব লাগে তেওঁ প্লেটোৱে তেওঁৰ যিটো ন্যায় ধাৰণা তাক এটা বৈদিক দৃষ্টিকোণৰ পৰা তেওঁ বিচাৰ কৰি চাব কৰা তেওঁ নাছিলে তেওঁ কি ক'ব বিচাৰিছিলে যে ন্যায়ালয়ৰ তেওঁৰ যিটো ন্যায় কনচেপ্ট তাত ন্যায়ালয়ৰ কোনো ধাৰণা নাছিলে তেওঁৰ যিটো ন্যায়ৰ ধাৰণা তাত কি আছিলে আভ্যন্তৰীণ শান্তি শৃংখলা ৰক্ষাৰ কাৰণে কোনো সম্পৰ্কত মানে তেওঁ কথা ভবা নাছিল তেওঁ ভাবিছিল যে গুণীজ্ঞানী লোকে শাসন কৰিব তাত কোনো ধৰণৰ অৰাজকতা বা বিশৃংখলতা তাত নাথাকে তেওঁ সেইটো এটা মনৰ ভাৱ তেওঁ লৈছিলে তেওঁৰ মতে ন্যায় হৈছে এটা সামাজিক গুণ সৎগুণ তেওঁ ন্যায় এটা সামাজিক সৎগুণ বুলি কৈছে আৰু এই গুণৰ মাজত বিভিন্ন শ্ৰেণীৰ মানুহৰ মাজৰ সম্পৰ্ক নিৰ্ণয় কৰে আৰু সেই গুণটোৱে মানুহৰ মাজত বিভিন্ন যে মানুহখিনি আছে সেই মানুহখিনিৰ মাজত থকা গুণসমূহ নিৰ্ণয় কৰে তেওঁ ন্যায় ধাৰণাত ব্যক্তিৰ হৈছে সমাজৰ এটা অংগ আৰু সমাজ উন্নতি বাদ দি ব্যক্তিৰ উন্নতি সম্ভৱপৰে নহয় তেওঁ শেষৰ কথা কৈছিলে যে সমাজক বাদ দি পেলাই ব্যক্তিৰ উন্নতি হ'ব নোৱাৰে গতিকে সমাজখনৰ উন্নতি কৰিলেহে ব্যক্তিৰ উন্নতি হ'ব এইদৰে আমি তেওঁৰ যিটো তেওঁৰ কনচেপ্টক সমালোচনা কৰা হৈছিলে সেইখিনি আমি অলৰেডি আগতে আলোচনা কৰিছিলোঁ এতিয়া আমি চাওঁ এৰিষ্টটলে ন্যায়ৰ বিষয়ে কি কৈছে এৰিষ্টটলে তেওঁ প্লেটোৰ নিচাকে ন্যায়ৰ বিষয়ে তেওঁ এটা মত প্ৰকাশ কৰিছিলে তেওঁৰ মতে নাগৰিকসকল সমাজত ন্যায় প্ৰতিষ্ঠাৰ কাৰণে গ্ৰহণ কৰা ব্যৱস্থাসমূহৰ পৰা এখন ৰাষ্ট্ৰৰ এখন প্ৰকৃত পৰিচয় পোৱা যায় যে এখন ৰাষ্ট্ৰৰ প্ৰকৃত পৰিচয়টো কি সেইটো ডিপেণ্ড কৰে বা সেইটো আমি নিৰ্ধাৰণ কৰিব পাৰিম যে ৰাষ্ট্ৰখনে নাগৰিকসকলক ন্যায় দিবৰ কাৰণে কি কি ব্যৱস্থা কৰিছে বা নাগৰিকসকলক কি ধৰণেৰে ৰখা হৈছে সেই কি ধৰণে ৰখা হৈছেটো আমি জানিলে এওঁলোকক আমি ন্যায় দিব পাৰোঁ তেওঁৰ মতে বিধি বিধান মানি চলা অৱস্থাত সকলো প্ৰাণীৰ ভিতৰত মানুহে হৈছে আটাইতকৈ শ্ৰেষ্ঠ তেওঁ কি ক'ব বিচাৰিছে যে নিয়ম কানুন মানি চলাৰ ভিতৰত মানুহে হৈছে আটাইতকৈ সৰ্বশ্ৰেষ্ঠ জন্তু বুলি আমি কওঁ কিন্তু যদি সমাজৰ আইন যদি আমি সমাজৰ আইনবিলাক বা অন্যান্য ভিত্তি প্ৰতিষ্ঠিত নহয় তেতিয়াহ'লে মানুহৰ মাজত যদি সমতা নাথাকে তেতিয়াহ'লে কি হ'ব অৰাজকতাৰ সৃষ্টি হ'ব গতিকে মানুহৰ মাজত এটা হিংসুক প্ৰবৃত্তি আছে মানুহে যদিও সমাজ পাতি বাস কৰিছিল বা বাস কৰিবলগীয়া হৈছিলে সমাজ পাতি মানুহে বাস কিয় কৰিবলৈ হৈছে কাৰণ আমি যদি প্ৰাকৃতিক ৰাষ্ট্ৰখনৰ ফাললৈ ভুমুকি মাৰি চাওঁ তেতিয়া কি দেখিম যে মানুহৰ জীৱনটো খুব স্মুথ নাছিলে বা জীৱন ধাৰা খুব স্মুথ নাছিলে জোৰ যাৰ মুলুক তাৰ যোগ্য ভোগ্য বসুন্ধৰা মানে যোনে যেনেকৈ পাৰিছে তেওঁ নিজৰ কেপাচিটি অনুযায়ী তেওঁ লৈ লৈছিলে গতিকে তেতিয়া কি হ'ব অৰাজকতাৰ সৃষ্টি হ'ব গতিকে তেওঁ কি কৈছে যে সেই পৰিৱেশত যদি তেনেকুৱা পৰিৱেশত থাকে তেতিয়াহ'লে মানুহ বহুতকৈও অধম হ'ব গতিকে প্ৰত্যেক ৰাষ্ট্ৰই জনসাধাৰণৰ মাজত কি কৰিবলৈ সমতা ন্যায় প্ৰতিষ্ঠাৰ কাৰণে চেষ্টা কৰাটো উচিত গতিকে মানুহৰ উন্নতি যিটো প্লেটোৱে ক'লে যে সমাজক বাদ দি নহয় এৰিষ্টটলেও সেই একেটা কথাই ক'ব বিচাৰিছে যে মানুহৰ উন্নতি কৰিবলৈ হ'লে মানুহৰ মাজত কিছুমান আইন কানুন নীতি নিয়ম থাকিব লাগিব মানুহে প্ৰাকৃতিক ৰাষ্ট্ৰৰ পৰা ওলাই কিয় আহিলে বা সামাজিক ছ'চিয়েল কণ্ট্ৰেক্ট বা সামাজিক চুক্তিখন কিয় কৰিবলগীয়া হয় কাৰণ মানুহে সেই যিটো প্ৰাকৃতিক ৰাষ্ট্ৰত আছিলে সেই প্ৰাকৃতিক ৰাষ্ট্ৰত মানুহে কি পোৱা নাছিলে ন্যায় পোৱা নাছিলে সদায় ভয়ত তেওঁলোক থাকিবলগীয়া হৈছিলে আজি যদি এজন শক্তিশালী ব্যক্তি আহে তেতিয়াহ'লে শক্তিশালী ব্যক্তিজনে কি কৰিব তেওঁৰ পৰা বস্তু কাঢ়ি লৈ গুচি যাব গতিকে তেওঁ ন্যায় ধাৰণাক এৰিষ্টটলে সম্পূৰ্ণ ন্যায় আৰু বিশেষ ন্যায় পাৰ্টিকুলাৰ কমপ্লিট ভাৰ্চু আৰু পাৰ্টিকুলাৰ ভাৰ্চু এনেকৈ দুটা ভাগত তেওঁ ভাগ কৰিছিলে তেওঁ কি ক'ব বিচাৰিছে যে জনসাধাৰণৰ নৈতিক চৰিত্ৰ আৰু শ্ৰেষ্ঠতাই হৈছে সম্পূৰ্ণ ন্যায় জনসাধাৰণৰ নৈতিক চৰিত্ৰ আৰু শ্ৰেষ্ঠতাই হৈছে সম্পূৰ্ণ ন্যায় গতিকে জনসাধাৰণৰ বিভিন্ন গুণৰ সমষ্টিয়ে হৈছে সম্পূৰ্ণ ন্যায় জনসাধাৰণৰ মাজত যিবিলাক বিভিন্ন ধৰণৰ ন্যায় বা বিভিন্ন ধৰণৰ গুণ আছে সেই গুণবিলাকক লৈ পেলাই তেওঁ কি কৰিছে ন্যায় প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰিছে আনহাতে বিশেষ ন্যায় পাৰ্টিকুলাৰ ভাৰ্চুৰ বিষয়ে তেওঁ কি কৰিছে সমাজত
সমতা প্ৰতিষ্ঠা চেষ্টাকে বুজাইছে পাৰ্টিকুলাৰ ভাৰ্চু বুলি কওঁতে তেওঁ কি ক'ব বিচাৰিছে যে সমাজত ন্যায় বা সমাজত সমতা প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰিবৰ কাৰণে যিটো চেষ্টা কৰা হৈছে সেইটোকে ন্যায় বুলি কোৱা হৈছে সমাজত যদি বিশেষ ন্যায় প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰা হ'লে তেতিয়াহ'লে কি হ'ব কোনো লোকে তেওঁৰ প্ৰাপ্যৰ পৰা বঞ্চিত নহ'ব যদি বিশেষ ন্যায় প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰা হয় তেতিয়াহ'লে কোনো এজন ব্যক্তিয়ে নিজৰ পাবলগীয়া প্ৰাপ্যৰ পৰা কেতিয়াও বঞ্চিত নহয় অৰ্থাৎ আমি ক'ব পাৰিম যে প্ৰত্যেক লোকে তেওঁৰ যোগ্যতা অনুসৰি যিটো পাবলগীয়া সেইখিনি তেওঁ পাবই গতিকে ন্যায় যদি স্পেচিয়েল জাষ্টিচ যদি প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰাৰ ব্যৱস্থা কৰা হয় তেতিয়াহ'লে প্ৰত্যেকজন ব্যক্তিয়ে যিখিনি পাবলগীয়া সেইখিনি তেওঁ কেতিয়াও তাৰ পৰা বঞ্চিত নহয় এই ধাৰণাক তেওঁ সংশোধক ন্যায় বা কাৰেক্টিভ জাষ্টিচ বুলিও কৈছে আৰু তেওঁ আৰু এটা জাষ্টিচৰ কথা কৈছে যিটোক আমি বিতৰণমূলক জাষ্টিচ বা ডিষ্ট্ৰিবিউটিভ জাষ্টিচ এই দুটা ভাগত তেওঁ ন্যায়ক ভাগ কৰিছে সংশোধক ন্যায় ব্যৱস্থা কৰি ৰাষ্ট্ৰই মানুহৰ মাজত সমতা প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰিব পাৰে গতিকে কাৰেক্টিভ বা সংশোধক ন্যায় প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰি পেলাই মানুহৰ মাজত সমতা প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰিব পাৰে তাৰমানে কোনোবাই কিবা এটা ভুল কৰিছে যদি ন্যায় পাছ কৰি পেলাই সেই অসমতাটো বিচাৰি দিয়া হয় তেতিয়াহ'লে কি হ'ব মানুহৰ মাজত সমতা আমি প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰিব পাৰিম কোনো এজন লোকে আন এজনক অন্যায় কৰি পেলাই লাভৱান হ'বলৈ চেষ্টা কৰিলে ৰাষ্ট্ৰই তেওঁক অন্যায় কৰাটো পৰা প্ৰতিৰোধ কৰিব পাৰিব যদি কোনোবা এজন মানুহে লোকক ঠগি পেলাই নিজে আগবাঢ়ি যাবলৈ চেষ্টা কৰে তেতিয়াহ'লে কিন্তু ৰাষ্ট্ৰই সেই ব্যক্তিজনক বা সেই মানুহজনক কিন্তু বাধা দিব পাৰিব ৰাষ্ট্ৰত যিবিলাক প্ৰচলন আইন আছে দেৱানী আইনেই হ'ব ফৌজদাৰী আইনেই হওক এই আইনবিলাক কৰি ৰাষ্ট্ৰই তেতিয়া কি কৰিব পাৰিব সেই মানুহজনক অন্যায় কৰাৰ পৰা বঞ্চিত কৰিব পাৰিব গতিকে এই ব্যৱস্থাটোক তেওঁ কাৰেক্টিভ জাষ্টিচ বুলি কৈছে তাৰমানে তেওঁ প্লেটুৱে তেওঁৰ দিনতে তেওঁ কি দেখিছিল যে মানুহৰ এটা স্বভাৱ আছে যে মানুহে লোকক মাৰি হেঁচুকি হ'লেও নিজে আগবাঢ়ি যাবলৈ চেষ্টা কৰে বা বিচাৰে গতিকে দেৱানী আইনেই হওক বা ফৌজদাৰী আইন ৰাষ্ট্ৰখনত থকা এই আইনবিলাকৰ প্ৰয়োগ কৰি পেলাই তেওঁ কি কৰিব পাৰে মানুহক আগবঢ়াই নিব মানে মানুহক ন্যায় বা জাষ্টিচ দিবৰ কাৰণে তেওঁ চেষ্টা কৰাৰ কথা কৈছে দ্বিতীয় ন্যায়টো হৈছে বিতৰণমূলক ন্যায় বা কাৰেক্ট ডিষ্ট্ৰিবিউটিভ জাষ্টিচ বিজ্ঞানেই হওক বা কলাই হওক প্ৰত্যেকৰ উদ্দেশ্য হৈছে যে অধিক পৰিমাণৰ সুখ শান্তি সৃষ্টি কৰা গতিকে আৰ্ট বা ছায়েন্সৰ মেইন লক্ষ্য হৈছে কি যে তেওঁলোকে যিটো বস্তু উলিয়াব সেইটোৱে যাতে অধিক শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকক তেওঁলোকে কিছুমান সুযোগ বা সুবিধা দিব পাৰে গতিকে জনসাধাৰণৰ কল্যাণৰ কাৰণে কাম কৰা হৈছে ৰাষ্ট্ৰৰ মেইন উদ্দেশ্য গতিকে এখন ৰাষ্ট্ৰৰ প্ৰধান লক্ষ্য হৈছে কি যে তাত থকা জনসাধাৰণৰ যাতে যিমান এক্সটেণ্টলৈকে পৰা যায় কল্যাণ কৰাটোৱে হৈছে যিয়ে ৰাষ্ট্ৰৰ কল্যাণৰ কাৰণে অধিক পৰিমাণৰ বৰঙণি যোগাব পাৰে যিজন ব্যক্তিয়ে ৰাষ্ট্ৰৰ উন্নতিৰ কাৰণে অধিক পৰিমাণৰ বৰঙণি যোগাব পাৰে তেওঁক সেই বৰঙণিৰ অনুপাতে তেওঁক পুৰস্কৃত কৰা হোৱাটোকে তেওঁ বিতৰণমূলক ন্যায় বুলি ক'ব বিচাৰিছে যে এজন ব্যক্তিয়ে ৰাষ্ট্ৰখনক কিমানখিনি দিছে সেই অনুপাতে তেওঁক এৱাৰ্ড বা ৰিৱাৰ্ড কৰা হ'ব আৰু তেতিয়া সেইটো তেওঁ বিতৰণমূলক জাষ্টিচ বুলি ক'ব বিচাৰিছে তেওঁ ক'ব বিচাৰিছে যে চৰকাৰী পদবীৰ সমবিতৰণ আৰু শুদ্ধ বিতৰণ হৈছে ন্যায় যে চৰকাৰী পদবীৰ সমবিতৰণ আৰু শুদ্ধ বিতৰণে হৈছে ন্যায় কিন্তু এনে ধাৰণা সকলো শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকৰ কাৰণে গ্ৰহণযোগ্য নহয় কিন্তু এই ধাৰণাটো সকলো লোকে বা সকলো লোকৰ শ্ৰেণীয়ে সমানে মানি ল'ব খোজা নাই যিসকলে স্বতন্ত্ৰতা গণতন্ত্ৰৰ সমৰ্থন কৰে যিসকল লোকে স্বতন্ত্ৰতাক সমৰ্থন কৰিছে বা যিসকল লোকে গণতন্ত্ৰক সমৰ্থন কৰিছে তেওঁলোকে ন্যায় এনে ব্যাখ্যা সম্পূৰ্ণৰূপে মানি নাই লোৱা স্বতন্ত্ৰতাক লোকসকলৰ সমাজৰ বাকী লোকতকৈ সম্পদশালী তেওঁলোকে ধনী শ্ৰেণীৰ লোক গতিকে তেওঁলোকে কি ক'ব বিচাৰিছে যে সকলো লোকে কিন্তু সমান নহয় যিসকলে স্বতন্ত্ৰতা বিচাৰি ফুৰিছে বা তেওঁলোকে কি কৰিছে তেওঁলোকৰ কিছুমান হয়তো আনতকৈ বেছি টকা পইচা থাকিব পাৰে যিহেতু অৰ্থনৈতিক ক্ষেত্ৰত তেওঁলোক সমাজৰ আন শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকতকৈ আগবঢ়া সেয়েহে ৰাজনৈতিক বিষয়তো তেওঁলোকৰ অধিক সুযোগ সুবিধা থাকিব পাৰে গতিকে কিছুমান সমাজত এনেকুৱা লোক আছে তেওঁলোকে ধৰা ৰাজনৈতিক ক্ষেত্ৰত বা সা সম্পত্তিৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত তেওঁলোকৰ অলপমান বিশেষ সুবিধা আছে এই লোকসকলৰ যেহেতু বিশেষ কিছুমান সুবিধা আছে তেওঁলোকে কি কৰে আনতকৈ তেওঁলোকে অলপ হয়তো বেলেগ বা বিশেষ তেওঁলোকে সা সুবিধা তেওঁলোকে পাব পাৰে
গতিকে তেওঁলোকৰ মতে কি হৈছে, ধনিক শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকে অধিক সুযোগ সুবিধা পোৱাই হৈছে ন্যায়। কিন্তু গণতন্ত্ৰই কি বিচাৰিছে, এনেধৰণৰ ন্যায় কনচেপ্টটো মানি ল'ব খোজা নাই। তেওঁলোকে গণতন্ত্ৰৰ সকলো শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকে সমান সুযোগ সুবিধা পোৱাটো বিচাৰিছে। গণতন্ত্ৰই এচাম শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকে আগবাঢ়ি যাব, সকলো সুযোগ সুবিধা লৈ, আৰু আন এচাম শ্ৰেণী পিছ পৰি থাকিব, এইটো গণতন্ত্ৰই কোনো কাৰণতে বা একেবাৰে বিচৰা নাই। গতিকে সকলো ক্ষেত্ৰতে সমাজত থকা সকলো লোকে যাতে সমানে সুযোগ সুবিধা পায়, সেইটোকে তেওঁলোকে ন্যায় বুলি কৈছে। কিন্তু এৰিষ্টটলে আকৌ এনেধৰণৰ ন্যায় ধাৰণাটো সম্পূৰ্ণৰূপে সমৰ্থন কৰা নাছিলে। মানুহে যদি অলপ সম্পদ আহৰণৰ কাৰণে সমাজ পাতি বা ৰাষ্ট্ৰ পাতি বসবাস কৰিলেহেঁতেন, তেতিয়াহ'লে কি হ'ব, এই তেওঁলোকে যাৰ যেতিয়া যিটো কেপাচিটি থাকিব, সেই কেপাচিটি অনুযায়ী যদি তেওঁলোকে কিছুমান নিজৰ সুবিধাটো আগবঢ়াই তেওঁলোকে ল'লেহেঁতেন, তেতিয়াহ'লে ধনী শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকে সমাজৰ পৰা বিশেষ সুযোগ সুবিধা দাবী কৰিব পাৰিলেহেঁতেন। তাৰমানে সমাজত যিসকল লোকৰ আগৰে পৰাই কিছুমান সুযোগ সুবিধা তেওঁলোকে পাই আছে, তেওঁলোকে এনেকুৱা এটা পৰিয়ালত জন্মগ্ৰহণ কৰিছে য'ত অলৰেডি তেওঁলোকৰ সেই আভ্যন্তৰীণ বা অভিজাত সমাজত তেওঁলোকৰ জন্মগ্ৰহণ হৈছে। গতিকে সেই অভিজাত সমাজত জন্মগ্ৰহণ হোৱাৰ কাৰণে তেওঁলোকে অলৰেডি বিশেষ কিছুমান সুযোগ সুবিধা পাইছে। গতিকে এইখিনি মানুহে কি কৰিব, তেওঁলোকৰ সেই সুযোগ সুবিধাটোৰ অৰিহণা দেখুৱাই পেলাই তেওঁলোকে সমাজৰ পৰা কিছুমান বেছি সুবিধা পালেহেঁতেন। কিন্তু সম্পদ অনাটোৱে জীৱনৰ প্ৰধান উদ্দেশ্য নহয়, এৰিষ্টটলে ক'ব বিচাৰে। সেইদৰে যদি নিৰাপত্তা লাভেই জীৱনৰ একমাত্ৰ উদ্দেশ্য হ'লহেঁতেন, তেনেহ'লে আন জীৱ জন্তুৰ সমাজ পাতি বাস কৰিলেহেঁতেন। গতিকে মানুহৰ দৰে যদি আমি অকল সম্পদ আহৰণ কৰাটোৱে বিচাৰিছোঁ, তেতিয়াহ'লে অন্য জীৱ জন্তুৱে সমাজ পাতি বাস কৰিলে। এৰিষ্টটলৰ মতে কি হৈছে যে দৰকাৰৰ ভিত্তিতহে মানুহে ৰাষ্ট্ৰৰ সৃষ্টি কৰিছে। এৰিষ্টটলে ক'ব বিচাৰিছে মানুহৰ যিহেতু দৰকাৰ পৰিলে, সেই দৰকাৰ পৰাৰ কাৰণেহে মানুহে ৰাষ্ট্ৰৰ সৃষ্টি কৰিছে। মানুহে যাতে সৎ জীৱন যাপন কৰিব পাৰে, তাৰ কাৰণে ৰাষ্ট্ৰ বৰ্তি আছে। তাৰমানে মানুহে নিজৰ জীৱনটো যাতে সুকলমে বা ভালকৈ আগবঢ়াই দিব পাৰে, তাৰ কাৰণে মানুহে ৰাষ্ট্ৰ সৃষ্টি কৰিছিলে। আৰু এই ডিমাণ্ডটো থকাৰ কাৰণে আজিৰ ডেটতো এখন ৰাষ্ট্ৰ বৰ্তি আছে। গতিকে সমাজৰ সামগ্ৰিক কল্যাণৰ সাধন কৰাই হৈছে ৰাষ্ট্ৰৰ মেইন উদ্দেশ্য। গতিকে ৰাষ্ট্ৰৰ মেইন উদ্দেশ্য হৈছে কি, যে সকলো মানুহৰ সমানে কল্যাণ কৰা। এচাম শ্ৰেণীয়ে যদি উপভোগিতা লাভ কৰে, তেতিয়াহ'লে কিন্তু সেইটো সম্পূৰ্ণৰূপে ন্যায় দিয়া নহ'ব এৰিষ্টটলৰ মতে। এতিয়া আমি চাওঁ আমাৰ মডাৰ্ণ, এইটো প্লেটো আৰু এৰিষ্টটলৰ কনচেপ্ট অফ জাষ্টিছ আমি দেখিলোঁ। এতিয়া আমি চাওঁ যে মডাৰ্ণ কনচেপ্ট অফ জাষ্টিছটো কি। মডাৰ্ণ কনচেপ্ট অফ জাষ্টিছত আমি অলৰেডি মই কৈছোঁ যে আমি বৌদ্ধিক বা সামাজিক বা ৰাজনৈতিক আৰু অৰ্থনৈতিক দৃষ্টিকোণৰ পৰা আমি তাক বিচাৰ কৰিব পাৰিম। লিগেল জাষ্টিছ বা বৌদ্ধিক জাষ্টিছ, এইটোৱে কি বুজায়, যে য'ত প্ৰচলিত আইন কানুন বা বিধি বিধানৰ জৰিয়তে বিবাদ মীমাংসা কৰা হয়, তাকে আমি সেইবিলাকত কি কৰা যায়, যে ৰাষ্ট্ৰৰ বিধি বিধানসমূহে সমভাৱে প্ৰয়োগ কৰাৰ ব্যৱস্থা আছে, তাক আমি বৌদ্ধিক ন্যায় বুলি ক'ব পাৰোঁ। যে এখন সমাজ, এতিয়া আমি অকল মানুহৰ কথা, সমাজৰ ৰাষ্ট্ৰত বাস কৰা মানুহখিনিৰ কথাই নহয়, এই মানুহখিনিৰ মাজত এটা মিলা প্ৰীতি থাকিব লাগিব, বা তেওঁলোকৰ মাজত এটা বুজাবুজি থাকিব লাগিব। যিটো ধৰণে য'ত যেনেকৈ তেওঁলোকে আছে, তেওঁলোকৰ মাজত কোনো ধৰণৰ সংঘাত নোহোৱাকৈ চলি যাবৰ কাৰণে কি হ'ব লাগিব, ৰাষ্ট্ৰই কিছুমান বিধি বিধান ৰচনা কৰিব লাগিব। আৰু এই বিধি বিধানসমূহ সকলো মানুহে মানি চলিব লাগিব, তেতিয়াহে এখন ৰাষ্ট্ৰত গৃহকন্দল নোহোৱাকৈ ৰাখিব পৰা যাব। আৰু এই বিধি বিধানসমূহ সমাজৰ প্ৰতিটো শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকৰ কাৰণে সমভাৱে ব্যৱহাৰ কৰা হৈছে। গতিকে এচাম লোকৰ কাৰণে আইন বনোৱা হৈছে, এচাম লোকৰ কাৰণে আইন নাই বনোৱা, সেইটো হ'লে নহ'ব। গতিকে এই লিগেল আইন বা বিধি বিধান যিবিলাক ৰচনা কৰা হৈছে, সেইবিলাক সকলো লোকৰ ওপৰত সমানে প্ৰয়োগ কৰা হ'ব লাগিব। গতিকে এনে ব্যৱস্থাত সকলো লোককে আইনে সমান হিচাপে জ্ঞান কৰে, আৰু সকলো লোকে আইনৰ সমান ৰক্ষণাবেক্ষণ পাব লাগিব। আজি বৰ্তমান যুগক আমি গণতান্ত্ৰিক যুগ বুলি কিয় কৈছোঁ, যে গণতন্ত্ৰই এই বিধি বিধানসমূহ ইমপ্লিমেণ্ট কৰোঁতে গণতান্ত্ৰিক শাসন ব্যৱস্থাত এই বিধি বিধানসমূহ ইমপ্লিমেণ্ট কৰোঁতে এই বস্তুটোৰ ওপৰত গুৰুত্ব দিয়া হয় বা হৈছে যে যাতে কোনো লোকে কোনো এটা দিশৰ পৰা বঞ্চিত নহয় কাৰণ এখন সমাজত আগবাঢ়িবলৈ হ'লে আগবাঢ়ি যাবলৈ হ'লে সমাজৰ প্ৰত্যেকটা স্তৰ বা প্ৰত্যেকটা শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকে সমান সুযোগ সুবিধা পাব লাগিব এচাম লোকে যদি বেছি সুবিধা পায় তেতিয়াহ'লে তেওঁলোক বেছি আগবাঢ়ি যাব আৰু ইচাম লোক মানে পিছ পৰি থাকিব তেতিয়া কি হ'ব সেই আগৰ আমাৰ যিটো থিয়ৰী যে ধনী শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকসকলে দুখীয়াখিনিৰ ওপৰত নিয়ন্ত্ৰণ চলাব বা তেওঁলোকৰ ওপৰত অত্যাচাৰ চলাব সেইটোৱে একো থাকি যাব গতিকে মডাৰ্ণ এখন ষ্টেটত যিবিলাক বিধি বিধান ৰচনা কৰা হয় সেই বিধি বিধানখিনি সমাজৰ সকলো শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকে সমানে উপভোগ কৰিবলৈ সুবিধা পাব লাগিব যিখন লিগেল আইনৰ ওপৰত ভিত্তি কৰি যিখন সমাজ ব্যৱস্থা স্থাপন কৰা হৈছে তাত উচ্চ নিচ বা ডাঙৰ সৰু ধনী দুখীয়া আদিৰ মানদণ্ডৰ ভিত্তিত মানুহৰ মাজত বৈষম্যৰ সৃষ্টি কৰা নহয় গতিকে যিখন সমাজ আইনৰ ভিত্তিত বিধি বিধানৰ ভিত্তিত স্থাপন কৰা হৈছে তাত ধনী দুখীয়া ডাঙৰ সৰু উচ্চ নিচ এইবিলাকৰ কোনো স্থল বা স্থান নাথাকে তাৰ পিছৰ কনচেপ্টটো হৈছে সামাজিক ন্যায় বা ছ'চিয়েল জাষ্টিচ ন্যায় ভিত্তিত আমি কি কৰিছোঁ আমি এখন সমাজ গঠন কৰিবলৈ বিচাৰিছোঁ জাতি ভাষা বৰ্ণ ধৰ্ম আদিৰ ভিত্তিত মানুহৰ মাজত উচ্চ নিচ ডাঙৰ সৰু আৰু আদি ভেদভাৱ যাতে নাথাকে এতিয়া আমি ভাৰতীয় সমাজ ব্যৱস্থাৰ কথাকে কওঁ আমাৰ যিখন ভাৰতীয় সমাজ ব্যৱস্থা আছিলে অতীজতে তাত আমি কি দেখিবলৈ পাইছিলোঁ যে আমাৰ জাতি প্ৰথা আছিলে আমাৰ বিভিন্ন ধৰণৰ কুসংস্কাৰ আছিলে কুপ্ৰথা কিছুমান আছিলে আৰু তাত মানুহক আমি উচ্চ নিচ জাতিভেদে আমি তেওঁলোকক বিভক্ত কৰিছিলোঁ যাৰ ফলত কিছুমান মানুহক আমি অশুভ বুলিও আমি গণনা কৰিবলৈ লৈছিলোঁ কিন্তু স্বাধীন ভাৰতৰ যিখন সংবিধান সেই সংবিধানত এনেধৰণৰ আমাৰ যিবিলাক মৌলিক অধিকাৰ এই অধিকাৰসমূহৰ অন্তৰ্গত যিবিলাক আৰ্টিকলছ আছে তাত এই অস্পৃশ্যতাটো কোনো ধৰণেৰে একচেপ্টেবল হোৱা নাই যদি কোনোবা অস্পৃশ্যতা মানিছে বা কাৰোবাৰ ওপৰত তেনেকুৱা দেখুৱাইছে তেওঁক আইনগতভাৱে পানিছমেণ্ট দিব পৰা যায় গতিকে আগৰ কালত কি হৈছিলে জাতিৰ ভিত্তিত নাইবা জন্মৰ ভিত্তিত মানুহৰ মাজত উচ্চ নিচ ডাঙৰ সৰু ভেদভাৱ কৰা হৈছিলে মানুহে নিজকে আমি যেতিয়া পৃথিৱীত জন্মগ্ৰহণ কৰিছোঁ তেতিয়া ভগৱানে আমাৰ পিঠিত কোনো ধৰণৰ মোহৰ মাৰি দিয়া নাছিলে যে এওঁ এইটো কাষ্টত জন্ম হ'ব বা এওঁ ডাঙৰ হ'ব বা এওঁ সৰু হ'ব মানুহ ডাঙৰ সৰু হয় নিজৰ কৰ্মৰ ফলত কিন্তু এটা সময়ত কি হৈছিলে মানুহে যিবিলাক কৰ্ম কৰিছে যিটো প্ৰফেশ্যন বৃত্তি সেই বৃত্তিটোৰ ওপৰত সমাজৰ মানুহক ভাগ কৰি দিয়া হৈছিলে যোনে অলপমান লিখা পঢ়া কৰি জানিছিলে তেওঁলোকৰ লিখা পঢ়াৰ লাইনতে তেওঁলোকক ৰাখিলে যোনে উৎপাদন কৰিছিলে যোনে প্ৰশাসন চলাইছিলে এনেকৈ মানুহক ভাগ কৰি দিয়া হৈছিলে কিন্তু কালক্ৰমত কোন সময়ত এইটো ইমান নিম্ন খাপলৈ ৰূপান্তৰিত হ'ল যে কোনো গমেই নাপালে যে আমাৰ সমাজত আনটাচেবলছ বুলি পেলাই এটা গ্ৰুপৰ আমাৰ সৃষ্টি কৰা হৈছিলে কিন্তু আমাৰ যিটো সামাজিক ন্যায় কনচেপ্ট ছ'চিয়েল জাষ্টিছৰ কনচেপ্ট এই ছ'চিয়েল জাষ্টিছৰ মেইন লক্ষ্য বা মেইন উদ্দেশ্যটো হৈছে কি যে আমি সমাজত এই উচ্চ নিচ ডাঙৰ সৰু কোনো ধৰণৰ ভেদাভেদ আমি ৰাখিব নিবিচাৰোঁ সামাজিক ন্যায়ে মানুহৰ মাজত সৃষ্টি হোৱা এনে বৈষম্য মানি ল'ব নোখোজে গতিকে এই যিবিলাক ডিফাৰেঞ্চেছ আমি দেখিবলৈ পাইছোঁ সামাজিক ন্যায়ে এইবিলাক কোনো কাৰণতে মানি ল'ব নিবিচাৰিছে ইয়াত কোনো ধৰণৰ অস্পৃশ্যতাৰ মই অলৰেডি কৈছোঁ যে কোনো ধৰণৰ অস্পৃশ্যতাৰ কথা ইয়াত আহি নপৰে সামাজিক ন্যায়ে বৰ্ণ বৈষম্যৰ যিটো তত্ত্ব বা যিটো থিয়ৰী তাক নাকচ কৰিছে জাতি ধৰ্ম বৰ্ণ জন্ম আদিৰ ভিত্তিত মানুহৰ মাজত কোনো ধৰণৰ বৈষম্যৰ সৃষ্টি হ'ব নোৱাৰিব এইটো হ'লগৈ ছ'চিয়েল জাষ্টিছৰ বিপৰীতে সামাজিক ন্যায়ে কি বিচাৰিছে যে সমাজত থকা সকলো লোকে সমানভাৱে বা সমান ধৰণে যাতে সকলো সুযোগ সুবিধা পায় সেইটোৱে তেওঁলোকে বিচাৰিছে আনকি মই অকণমান আগতে কৈছোঁ আমাৰ সংবিধানতো এই ন্যায় প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰিবৰ কাৰণে আমাৰ যথেষ্ট ব্যৱস্থা কৰা হৈছে কোনোবাই যদি অস্পৃশ্যতা মানিছে তেওঁক শাস্তি দিয়া ব্যৱস্থা হৈছে আনকি ছ'চিয়েল জাষ্টিছৰ নামত আমি কোনো মানুহক নিজৰ নামৰ পিছত কোনো ধৰণৰ বিশেষ উপাধি আমি ল'বলৈ দিয়া নাই আগতে ব্ৰিটিছসকলৰ যিটো ডিভাইড এণ্ড ৰুল পলিচি আছিলে তেওঁলোকে কি কৰিছিলে মানুহক কিছুমান উপাধি দিছিলে নাইটছ লৰ্ড ৰায়চৌধুৰী এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ উপাধিবিলাক দিয়াৰ কাৰণে সেই চাম মানুহে নিজকে আনতকৈ বেলেগ বুলি ভাবিছিলে আৰু সমাজত ক্লাছ ছিষ্টেমৰ সৃষ্টি হৈছিলে। গতিকে কাষ্ট ক্লাছ এইবিলাকে কি কৰিছিলে ভাৰতীয় সমাজখন একেবাৰে জৰ্জৰিত কৰি পেলাইছিলে। গতিকে সামাজিক ন্যায় লক্ষ্য হৈছে কি যে এই অসমতাবিলাক একেবাৰে সম্পূৰ্ণৰূপে সাংবিধানিক ব্যৱস্থা গ্ৰহণ কৰি পেলাই নাইকিয়া কৰি পেলাই সমাজৰ সকলো শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকক বা সমাজৰ সকলো শ্ৰেণীৰ মানুহক যাতে সমানে সুযোগ সুবিধা দি পেলাই এখন সমান্তৰাল ভিত্তিত এখন সমৰাজ্য ষ্টেট ব্যৱস্থা কৰাৰ কথা কৈছে। গতিকে আমাৰ সংবিধানৰ আৰ্টিকেল 17 নং অনুচ্ছেদৰ জৰিয়তে অস্পৃশ্যতা বৰ্জন কৰাৰ ব্যৱস্থা কৰা হৈছে। গতিকে কোনোবাই যদি এতিয়া কোনোবা লোকক অস্পৃশ্য বুলি মানে তেতিয়াহ'লে তাক পানিছমেণ্ট দিব। আগতে এই ডিভিজনছবিলাক বা কাষ্ট ছিষ্টেমটোৰ সৃষ্টি মই আগতে কৈছোঁ যে নিজৰ নিজৰ প্ৰফেশ্যন ৱাইজ হৈছিলে। কোনোবাই যদি খেতি কৰিছে তেওঁ সদায় খেতিয়ে কৰিলে, কোনোবাই যদি পঢ়া শুনা কৰিছিলে তেওঁ পঢ়া শুনা লাইনতে গ'ল। কিন্তু ক্ৰমান্বয়ে এই যিটো প্ৰফেশ্যন ৱাইজ ডিভিজন আছিলে সেইটো কোন সময়তনো কাষ্টত পৰিণত হ'ল কোনেও আমি পিন পইণ্ট আউট কৰি দিব নোৱাৰোঁ। গতিকে এই ডিভিজনটো লাহে লাহে সি ইমান বেয়াকৈ শিপালে যে আমি কিছুমান মানুহক একেবাৰে ঘৃণাই কৰিবলৈ ধৰিলোঁ। গতিকে আমাৰ নতুন সংবিধানখনৰ মেইন লক্ষ্য বা নতুন সংবিধানখনৰ উদ্দেশ্য হৈছে কি যে মানুহৰ মাজত চলি থকা এই যিটো অসমতা, এই অসমতাটো সম্পূৰ্ণৰূপে নাইকিয়া কৰি পেলাই মানুহৰ মাজত সমতা স্থাপন কৰি পেলাই এনেকুৱা এখন সমাজ ব্যৱস্থা গ্ৰহণ কৰাৰ কথা কৈছে যে য'ত সকলো মানুহে সমান ধৰণৰ সুযোগ সুবিধা আমি পাওঁ। তাৰপিছতে আহিছে ৰাজনৈতিক ন্যায় বা পলিটিকেল জাষ্টিছ। যি সমাজত জাতি, বৰ্ণ, ধৰ্ম নিৰ্বিশেষে সকলো প্ৰাপ্তবয়স্ক লোকে সমানে ৰাজনৈতিক সুযোগ ভোগ কৰিব পাৰে তেনে সমাজক আমি কি বুলি কৈছোঁ ৰাজনৈতিক ন্যায় ভিত্তিত প্ৰতিষ্ঠা হোৱা বুলি কওঁ। গতিকে যিখন সমাজ ব্যৱস্থাত সকলো লোকে ইৰেছপেক্টিভ অফ হিজ কাষ্ট, ক্ৰিড, ছেক্স অৰ ৰিলিজন সকলো মানুহে প্ৰাপ্তবয়স্ক ভোটাধিকাৰ পাই ভোট দিব পাৰে কাৰণ সংবিধানে এটা বয়স ধৰি দিছে আৰু সেই বয়সৰ ভিত্তিত সকলো লোকে যেতিয়া তেওঁলোকে ভোটাধিকাৰ প্ৰয়োগ কৰিব পাৰে তেতিয়াহ'লে সেইখন সমাজতে আমি কি বুলি কওঁ ৰাজনৈতিক ন্যায় আছে বুলি আমি ক'ব পাৰোঁ। আগৰ দিনত সকলো লোকে সমানে ৰাজনৈতিক সুযোগ সুবিধাবিলাক পোৱা নাছিলে। শিক্ষা, সম্পদ, ৰাজহ দিয়াৰ ক্ষমতা আদিৰ ভিত্তিত নাগৰিকসকলে ভোটাধিকাৰ দিয়া হৈছিলে। আগৰ দিনত সকলো মানুহকে মই আগৰ গ্ৰীক নগৰ ৰাষ্ট্ৰবিলাকৰ কথাও কওঁ। সেই আগৰ গ্ৰীক নগৰ ৰাষ্ট্ৰবিলাকত সমাজত সকলো মানুহকে নাগৰিক বুলি ভবাই নাছিলে। নাগৰিক বুলি ভাবিছিলে যাৰ কিছুমান সম্পত্তি আছিলে বা এটা শিক্ষাৰ অৰ্হতা আছিলে সেই মানুহখিনিকহে তেওঁলোকে নাগৰিকৰ আখ্যা দিছিলে আৰু সেই মানুহখিনিয়ে কি কৰিছে ভোটাধিকাৰ পাইছিলে। মাইকী মানুহক দিয়া নাছিলে, শ্লেভছসকলক দাসসকলক দিয়া নাছিলে। গতিকে তেওঁলোকে কিছুমান ক্ৰাইটেৰিয়া ধৰি দিছিলে যে শিক্ষা বা সম্পদ বা কোনোবাই যদি ৰেভিনিউ দিব পাৰিছে, ৰাজহ দিছে, তেতিয়াহ'লে সেইসকলক ভোটাধিকাৰ দিয়া হৈছিলে। সেইদৰে চৰকাৰী চাকৰিৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত মানুহৰ মাজত বৈষম্যৰ সৃষ্টি কৰা হৈছিলে। চৰকাৰী চাকৰিৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত বৈষম্যৰ সৃষ্টি কৰা হৈছিলে। কিন্তু ৰাজনৈতিক ন্যায় ভিত্তিত প্ৰতিষ্ঠা সমাজ ব্যৱস্থাত মানুহৰ মাজত এই ৰাজনৈতিক অধিকাৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত বৈষম্যৰ সৃষ্টি কৰা দেখা নাযায়। যে আগতে চৰকাৰী চাকৰিৰ ক্ষেত্ৰতো বিশেষ কিছুমান কোৱালিফিকেশ্যন বা সুবিধাহে দিয়া হৈছিলে য'ত সেই মানুহখিনিয়েহে উপভোগ কৰিব পাৰিব, সমাজৰ সকলো মানুহে সকলো সুযোগ সুবিধা নাপাইছিলে। আমাৰ সংবিধানটোত আমাৰ দেশৰ ৰাজনৈতিক ন্যায় প্ৰতিষ্ঠাৰ ব্যৱস্থা কৰা হৈছে। গতিকে আমাৰ সংবিধানত আৰ্টিকেল 18 এই অনুচ্ছেদৰ দৃষ্টিত কোৱা হৈছে যে সকলো লোকে সমান জ্ঞান আৰু সমান আইনে সকলোকে সমানে ৰক্ষণাবেক্ষণ দিয়াৰ ব্যৱস্থা কৰিছে। আৰ্টিকেল 14 কি কোৱা হৈছে যে আইনৰ দৃষ্টিত সকলো লোক সমান আৰু আইনে সকলো লোককে সমানে ৰক্ষণাবেক্ষণ দিব। তাৰপিছতে আৰ্টিকেল 15 14 পিছত 15 নং অনুচ্ছেদত কি কোৱা হৈছে যে জাতি, ধৰ্ম, বৰ্ণ, ভাষাৰ নিৰ্বিশেষে সকলো লোকৰ মাজত কোনো ধৰণৰ বৈষম্যমূলক আচৰণ কৰা নাযায়। যে সকলো মানুহকে সমান বুলি ধৰিব, কোনো মানুহৰ মাজত কোনো ধৰণৰ বৈষম্য নাথাকে। আৰ্টিকেল 16ত কি কোৱা হৈছে যে নিয়োগৰ বিষয়তো নাগৰিকৰ মাজত জাতি, ধৰ্ম, বৰ্ণ, ভাষা আদিৰ ভিত্তিত পুৰুষ আৰু মহিলাৰ মাজত কোনো ধৰণৰ বৈষম্যমূলক ব্যৱস্থা কৰা নহ'ব। যে এজন মানুহে বা এজনী ছোৱালীয়ে যেতিয়া পঢ়া শুনা কৰি পেলাই তেওঁ এটা চৰকাৰী চাকৰি ল'বলৈ যায় তেতিয়া কি হয় তেওঁ সকলোখিনি ক্ষেত্ৰতে তেওঁ আমি কি দেখিবলৈ পাইছোঁ যে তেওঁৰ ন্যায় যাতে তেওঁ পায় তেওঁ সেই অৰ্হতাখিনি বা সেই যোগ্যতাখিনি আছে নাই এজন ডাক্তৰ হওক এজন শিক্ষক হওক এজন উকিল হওক যেতিয়া তেওঁ এটা এজন ছাত্ৰক পঢ়ুৱাবলৈ যাব বা তেওঁ এটা কেছ কোৰ্টত আৰ্গুমেণ্ট কৰিবলৈ যাব তেতিয়া পুৰুষ আৰু মহিলাই মাজত আমি কোনো ডিফাৰেঞ্চ নাপাওঁ গতিকে তাক আমি কেনেকৈ ডিফাৰেঞ্চিয়েশ্যনটো কৰিম সেইটো কৰাটো উচিত হ'ব জানো যে ডাক্তৰ এজনে অপাৰেশ্যন এটা কৰিলে পুৰুষ এজনেও কৰিব মহিলা এজনেও কৰিব গতিকে পুৰুষজনে বেছিকৈ কাম কৰিছে মহিলাজনে কমকৈ কাম কৰিছে সেই বুলি পেলাই তেওঁক দৰমহা পাতি দিয়াটো আমি ব্যৱধান এটা উলিয়াব নোৱাৰোঁ আমি ডিফাৰেঞ্চিয়েশ্যন এটা আমি কৰিব নোৱাৰোঁ বা কৰাটো অনুচিত গতিকে ৰাজনৈতিকভাৱে এজন মানুহে যেতিয়া পঢ়া শুনা কৰি পেলাই তেওঁ চৰকাৰী চাকৰি এটা বিচাৰি যায় তেতিয়াহ'লে তেওঁক আমি কোনো ক্ষেত্ৰতে বা কোনো কাৰণতে তেওঁ উচ্চ খাপ মানে তেওঁ ইমান লেভেলত পঢ়া শুনা নাই বা এওঁ মাইকী মানুহ গতিকে এওঁ কম দিম সেইটো আমি কৰিব বা কৰাটো একেবাৰে অনুচিত আৰু ইয়াত অলৰেডি সংবিধানে ধৰি দিছে যে সকলো মানুহৰ ভোটাধিকাৰ আছে কেইটামান পাৰ্টিকুলাৰ কণ্ডিশ্যন আছে কোনোবাই যদি ইনচেইন ধৰা মানসিকভাৱে তেওঁ সুস্থ নহয় বা তেওঁৰ বিৰুদ্ধে বহুত এটা ডাঙৰ চাৰ্জ আছে তেতিয়া বেলেগ কথা তাৰ বাহিৰে কিন্তু প্ৰাপ্তবয়স্ক হোৱাৰ পিছত সকলো মানুহে ভোটাধিকাৰ দিয়াৰ অধিকাৰ আছে আৰু এই ভোটাধিকাৰটোৱে আমাক এখন ষ্টেটৰ আমাৰ নাগৰিক বা আমাৰ অধিকাৰসমূহ আমাৰ কৰ্তব্যসমূহ সোঁৱৰাই দিয়ে গতিকে আমি যদি নিৰ্বিকাৰ বা নিৰ্লিপ্ত হৈ থাকোঁ তেতিয়াহ'লে আমি আমাৰ দেশখনৰ প্ৰতি আমাৰ যিটো কৰ্তব্য সেইটো আমি ভালকৈ পালন কৰিব আমি নোৱাৰিম গতিকে আমি কি কৰিম আমি ভোটাধিকাৰটো আমাৰ কাৰণে ভোট দিয়াটো আমাৰ কাৰণে এটা খুব গুৰুত্বপূৰ্ণ বিষয়বস্তু সকলো মানুহে ভোট দিবলৈ আগবাঢ়ি ওলাই আহিব পাৰে কাৰণ আমি যিটো ভোটদান দিম সেই ভোটদানৰ ভিত্তিত আমি এটা চৰকাৰ গঠন কৰিম গতিকে চৰকাৰ গঠন কৰাত আমাৰ চৰকাৰটো গঠন কৰা আমাৰ অধিকাৰ আমি ভাল মানুহ আনি এখন সমাজ এখন চৰকাৰ গঠন কৰিব লাগে যি আমাৰ কাৰণে আকৌ তেওঁলোকে কাম কাজখিনি কৰিব সকলো নাগৰিকে কি কৰিব পাৰিব নিৰ্বাচনত অকল ভোটদান দিয়াটোৱে নহয় তেওঁ প্ৰতিদ্বন্দ্বিতাও কৰিব পাৰিব লাগিব যে এজন মানুহে অকল ভোটদান দি পেলাই তেওঁ কামখিনি সমাপ্ত কৰিলে নহ'ব তেওঁ দৰকাৰ পৰিলে ভোটদান দি পেলাই তেওঁ কি কৰিব পাৰিব লাগিব তেওঁ যদি ইচ্ছা কৰে তেওঁ নিজেও এজন প্ৰতিদ্বন্দ্বী হিচাপে তেওঁ নিজকে প্ৰস্তুত কৰিব পাৰিব আৰু তেওঁ কি কৰিব পাৰিব যে তেওঁৰ সেই অৰ্হতাখিনি যদি আছে গোটেই অৰ্হতাখিনি থাকিলে তেওঁ চৰকাৰী চাকৰিৰ কাৰণেও তেওঁ আবেদন কৰিব পাৰিব গতিকে পলিটিকেল ন্যায় বা ৰাজনৈতিক জাষ্টিছ হৈছে কি যে সকলো মানুহকে যিটো এখন দেশ চলি থকাৰ যিটো ৰাজনৈতিক প্ৰক্ৰিয়া সেই ৰাজনৈতিক প্ৰক্ৰিয়াটোত যাতে তেওঁলোকে অংশগ্ৰহণ কৰিব পাৰে গতিকে অংশগ্ৰহণ কৰি দিয়াৰ লগে লগে আমি ছিষ্টেমটোৰ এটা অংগ হৈ পৰোঁ ছিষ্টেমটো এটা পাৰ্ট আমি হৈ পৰোঁ তাৰপিছতে আহিলে অৰ্থনৈতিক ন্যায় বা ইকনমিক জাষ্টিছ অৰ্থনৈতিক দিশৰ পৰাও কিন্তু আমি এইটো এটা বিশ্লেষণ কৰি চাব লাগিব অৰ্থনৈতিক ন্যায় অবিহনে এখন সমাজত ৰাজনৈতিক ন্যায় একেবাৰে অৰ্থহীন হৈ পৰে ৰাজনৈতিক ন্যায় আমাক লাগে ঠিকেই কিন্তু যদি আমাৰ আৰ্থিক অৱস্থাটো সবল নহয় আৰ্থিক অৱস্থাটো টনকিয়াল নহয় তেতিয়াহ'লে ৰাজনৈতিক ন্যায়ৰ আমাৰ কোনো মিনিং নাই ৰাজনৈতিক ন্যায়ৰ কোনো গুৰুত্ব নাই এজন ব্যক্তি আমি যদি তেওঁক ভোটাধিকাৰ দিছোঁ ঠিকেই কিন্তু ভোটাধিকাৰটো পাই পেলাই তেওঁ কাৰোবাক ভোট দিলে কিন্তু তেওঁ 24 ঘণ্টাই খালি এটাই চিন্তা যে আজি দুপৰীয়া ভাত সাজ খালোঁ ৰাতি মই ক'ৰ পৰা খাম বা কি খাম এই ভাৱটোৱে যদি তেওঁক অনগল আমনি কৰি থাকে তেতিয়াহ'লে তেওঁ দেশৰ উন্নতিৰ কাৰণে বা সমাজখনৰ উন্নতিৰ কাৰণে বা নিজৰ চুবুৰীটোৰ উন্নতিৰ কাৰণে তেওঁ একো ভাবিব নোৱাৰে কাৰণ তেওঁ অনগল পেটৰ চিন্তাত থাকিব গতিকে ইকনমিক জাষ্টিছ সাংঘাতিক গুৰুত্বপূৰ্ণ ইকনমিক ন্যায় সমাজৰ সকলো শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকে সমানভাৱে উপযোগ কৰিব পাৰিব লাগিব অৰ্থনৈতিক ন্যায়ে অৰ্থনৈতিক সমতা প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰে যেতিয়া আমাৰ ইকনমিক জাষ্টিছ থাকিব তেতিয়াহ'লে সি ইকনমিক ইকুৱেলিটি বা সমতা প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰিব এজনে আনজনক নাইবা শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকে আন এক শ্ৰেণীৰ লোকৰ ওপৰত শোষণ কৰা বন্ধ কৰিব লাগিব মানুহৰ মাজত থকা যিবিলাক অৰ্থনৈতিক ব্যৱধান এইবিলাক বন্ধ কৰাটো অতিপাত প্ৰয়োজন আৰু প্ৰতিজন নাগৰিকৰ কাৰণে জীৱন ধাৰণৰ নিম্নতম সুবিধা কিছুমান চৰকাৰে প্ৰভাইড কৰিব লাগিব যে এজন ব্যক্তিয়ে কিখিনি অধিকাৰ তেওঁ পাবলগীয়া বা কিখিনি পাব লাগিব সেইখিনি তেওঁ দিব লাগিব তাৰ বাবদ আমাৰ যিবিলাক ডাইৰেক্টিভ প্ৰিন্সিপালছ অফ ষ্টেট পলিচি নিৰ্দেশাত্মক নীতি এই নিৰ্দেশাত্মক নীতিৰ আৰ্টিকল 39 পৰা 43 লৈ এই গোটেইখিনি বস্তু উল্লেখ কৰা হৈছে যে আমি এজন মানুহৰ ইকনমিক ন্যায় হৈছে কি যে এজন মানুহৰ কাম কৰাৰ সুবিধা থাকিব লাগিব তেওঁ চাকৰি কৰিব পাৰিব তেওঁ অৰ্হতা অনুযায়ী তেওঁ এটা চাকৰি কৰি নিজৰ জীৱন নিৰ্বাচন বা নিজৰ জীৱন চলাই নিয়াত তেওঁক সুবিধা কৰি দিব লাগিব তেনেকৈ মই আগতে ক'লোঁ যে এখন সমাজত পলিটিকেল জাষ্টিচ ন্যায় লাগিব পলিটিকেল ন্যায় মানে আমাৰ ভোটাধিকাৰ কিন্তু যদি ৰাজনৈতিক এডুকেশ্যন যদি আমাৰ ইকনমিক জাষ্টিচ নাথাকে তেতিয়াহ'লে অকল ৰাজনৈতিক যদি আমাৰ আৰ্থিক ন্যায় নাথাকে ইকনমিক ন্যায় নাথাকে অৰ্থনৈতিক ন্যায় নাথাকে তেতিয়াহ'লে পলিটিকেল জাষ্টিচ কি কৰিম মই আগতেও কৈছোঁ যে এজন মানুহে পেটৰ ভোকত যেতিয়া কলমলাই থাকিব তেতিয়া তেওঁ ভোটাধিকাৰ বা ভোট দিয়াৰ অধিকাৰটো তেওঁৰ আগত জোকাৰি থাকিলে একো লাভত নাহে গতিকে তাৰ কাৰণে চৰকাৰে ন্যায় প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰিব লাগিব যে সকলো মানুহে কাম কৰাৰ অধিকাৰ পাব লাগিব আৰু যিসকল মানুহ অক্ষম বা তেওঁলোকে কোনো কাৰণতে কাম কৰিব নোৱাৰে তেতিয়াহ'লে চৰকাৰে কি কৰিব লাগিব তেওঁলোকক ৰক্ষণাবেক্ষণ দিব লাগিব তেওঁলোকে কিছুমান ছ'চিয়েল ৱেলফেয়াৰ স্কিমছৰ কথা তেওঁলোকে আলোচনা বা চিন্তা কৰিব লাগিব য'ত এই মানুহ ৰোগীসকলক বা তেওঁলোকক এই ছ'চিয়েল যিটো ছিকিউৰিটি বুলি কোৱা হৈছে এই ছ'চিয়েল ছিকিউৰিটিটো তেওঁলোকক দিয়া হ'ব ৰোগীসকলৰ ব্যৱস্থা লোৱা বা বৃদ্ধকালত তেওঁলোকে যাতে নিৰাপত্তাভাৱে জীৱন বসবাস কৰিব পাৰে তাৰ বাবে কিছুমান ৱেলফেয়াৰ স্কিম চৰকাৰে হাতত লৈ পেলাই তেওঁলোকক সেই ব্যৱস্থাবিলাক দিব লাগিব তাৰোপৰি নাগৰিকৰ কাৰণে জীৱিকাৰ প্ৰাপ্ত উপায় ব্যৱস্থা কৰা জনসাধাৰণৰ উমৈৰ সৈতে স্বাৰ্থ ৰক্ষাৰ কাৰণে সম্পদ বিতৰণ কৰা বা জনসাধাৰণৰ আৰ্হিতে যাতে ৰাষ্ট্ৰীয় সম্পদ কেন্দ্ৰভূত নহয় আৰু তাৰ ব্যৱস্থা কৰা পুৰুষ মহিলাসকলে যাতে সমান কামৰ বাবে সমান মজুৰি পায় তেনে ব্যৱস্থা কৰিব লাগিব নিবনুৱা যিসকল লোক আছে যিসকল বৃদ্ধা আছে যিসকল ৰোগী আছে এই লোকসকলে যাতে আৰ্থিক সাহায্য পায় তাৰ কাৰণে চৰকাৰে ব্যৱস্থা ল'ব লাগিব আৰু এই ব্যৱস্থাবিলাক গ্ৰহণ কৰি পেলাই তেতিয়া চৰকাৰে কি কৰিব পাৰিব অৰ্থনৈতিক ন্যায় প্ৰতিষ্ঠাৰ কথা চিন্তা কৰিব পাৰিব গতিকে সমাজত যিসকল লোকে বসবাস কৰিছে এই লোকসকলে কি কৰিব তেওঁলোকে ন্যায় পাবলৈ হ'লে তেওঁলোকক চৰকাৰে এই ব্যৱস্থাখিনি দিব লাগিব এতিয়া আমি বহুত সময়ত আমি স্কিল এণ্ড আনস্কিল লেবাৰ বুলি কওঁ ইকনমিক্সৰ যিসকল ষ্টুডেণ্টছ তেওঁলোকে এইটো কথা বেছি ভালকৈ বুজি পাব এতিয়া আমি এটা সাধাৰণ এক্সাম্পল দিওঁ যেতিয়া আমি সকলোৱে ঘৰ সজা দেখিছোঁ যেতিয়া ছাদ ঢালাই কৰে তেতিয়া মূৰত পাচি লৈ পেলাই মতা মানুহ মাইকী মানুহ জখলাডাল বগাই যায় এতিয়া সেই সময়ত ঠিকাদাৰে যিটো পইচা দিব দিন মজুৰি দিব দিনটো কাম কৰাৰ বিনিময়ত তেতিয়া এই মানুহজনে কি কৰিব নোৱাৰে ডিষ্টিংগুইছ বা ডিছক্ৰিমিনেট কৰিব নোৱাৰে কাৰ মাজত ডিছক্ৰিমিনেট কৰিব নোৱাৰে যে এওঁ মতা মানুহ গতিকে এওঁ কাম বেছি কৰিছে এওঁ পইচাটো বেছিকৈ দিম এইজন মহিলা এওঁ কাম কম কৰিছে গতিকে এওঁ পইচাটো আমি কমকৈ দিম এইটো ডিছক্ৰিমিনেশ্যন তেওঁ কোনো কাৰণতে কৰিব নোৱাৰে কিয়নো দুইজন মানুহে ৰাতিপুৱা 7টা বজাৰ পৰা গধূলি 5টা বজালৈকে সমানেই কাম কৰিছে ঠিক তেনেকৈ আমি এজন শিক্ষকৰ ক্ষেত্ৰতে হওক এজন ডাক্তৰৰ ক্ষেত্ৰতে হওক বা এজন ইঞ্জিনিয়াৰ ক্ষেত্ৰতে হওক পুৰুষ আৰু মহিলাৰ মাজত কোনো ধৰণৰ ডিফাৰেঞ্চিয়েশ্যন থাকিব নালাগিব সমানে কাম কৰিছে গতিকে তেওঁ যিখিনি শিক্ষাৰ গুণ বা যিখিনি শিক্ষাৰ অৰ্হতা তেওঁৰ হাতত আছে পুৰুষ এজনৰ আছে গতিকে তেওঁলোকৰ চাকৰিৰ মাজত ডিফাৰেঞ্চিয়েশ্যন হ'ব নালাগিব তাৰোপৰি ন্যায় প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কেতিয়া হ'ব সমাজত সকলো লোকটো সমান নহয় গতিকে কোনোবাই হয়তো উপাৰ্জন কৰিব পৰা নাই বা কোনোবা ৰোগী বা কোনোবা এনেকুৱা লোকো আছে যাৰ কেওঁ কিছু নাই গতিকে এই লোকসকলক চৰকাৰে তেওঁলোকৰ আত্মসন্মানত হানি নোহোৱাকৈ তেওঁলোকে যাতে এটা মানুহৰ জীৱন যাপন কৰিব পাৰে তাৰ বাবদ চৰকাৰে কিছুমান স্কিমছ বা ছ'চিয়েল ৱেলফেয়াৰ স্কিমছ কিছুমান ল'ব লাগিব আৰু এই লোকসকলক সুন্দৰৰূপে বা ভালকৈ ৰক্ষণাবেক্ষণ দিব লাগিব গতিকে এইখিনি কৰিলে তেতিয়াহে আমি ক'ম যে আমাৰ সমাজৰ ছ'চিয়েল জাষ্টিছে হওক বা পলিটিকেল জাষ্টিছে হওক বা ইকনমিক জাষ্টিচ আছে বুলি আমি ক'ব পাৰিম গতিকে নেশ্যনেল জাষ্টিচ বা প্ৰাকৃতিক ন্যায় বুলি কাক কয় ন এই ধাৰণাটো কি হৈছে প্ৰাকৃতিক ন্যায় সাধাৰণতে প্ৰকৃতিৰ পৰা আইনৰ পৰা প্ৰাকৃতিক ন্যায় ধাৰণাটো আমি পাইছোঁ বুলি ক'ব পাৰোঁ প্ৰাকৃতিগতভাৱে মানুহ সমাজপ্ৰিয় প্ৰাণী মানুহৰ নেচাৰটো কি হৈছে মানুহে সমাজ পাতি বসবাস কৰিবলৈ বিচাৰে অতি প্ৰাচীন কালৰ পৰাই মানুহে নিৰাপত্তাজনিত আৰু কি কৰিছে স্বাভাৱিক কাৰণ সমাজত তেওঁলোকে জীৱন যাপন কৰিবৰ কাৰণে চেষ্টা কৰিছিলে একেবাৰে আগৰ কথা কৈছোঁ হবছ লগ ৰুছৰ সময়ত কি হৈছিলে প্ৰাকৃতিক অৱস্থাত মানুহ আছিলে কিন্তু এই প্ৰাকৃতিক অৱস্থাত কি আমি দেখিবলৈ পাইছিলোঁ যে মানুহৰ মাজত কিছুমান অসুবিধা হৈছিলে প্ৰাকৃতিক ষ্টেট অফ নেচাৰখন একেবাৰে সুন্দৰ বা ভাল নাছিলে মানুহে কেনেকৈ আছিলে দে লিভড ইন তেওঁলোকৰ কণ্ডিশ্যনছবিলাক মানে খুব ভয়াৱহ আছিলে হবছৰ যিখন প্ৰাকৃতিক ৰাষ্ট্ৰৰ ছবি সেই ছবিখন খুব ভয়াৱহ তেওঁ কি কৈছে যে মানুহৰ ইটোক মাৰি সিটো আগবাঢ়ি যাবলৈ চেষ্টা কৰিছে জোৰ জাৰ মুলুক তাৰ যোগ্য ভোগ্য বসুন্ধৰা সাৰ্ভাইভেল অফ দ্য ফিটেষ্ট তোমাৰ যদি সেই মাৰি কাটি নিয়া অৱস্থাত তুমি নিজকে বচাই ৰাখিব পাৰা তেতিয়াহ'লেহে তুমি আগবাঢ়ি যাব পাৰিবা গতিকে তেতিয়া মানুহে দেখিলে যে এনেকৈ সদায় থকাটো সম্ভৱপৰ নহয় চ' তেওঁলোকে কি কৰিলে এখন চুক্তি কৰিলে তেওঁলোকৰ মাজত হবছ লগ ৰুছ এই তিনিজনৰ যিটো ছ'চিয়েল কণ্ট্ৰেক্ট থিয়ৰী এইটো তেওঁলোকে চুক্তি কৰিলে কৰি পেলাই হবছে কি কৰিলে তেওঁ এজন ব্যক্তিৰ বা কেইজনমান ব্যক্তিৰ হাতত সৰ্বোচ্চ ক্ষমতা দি দিলে যে তেওঁলোকে আমাক শাসন কৰি পেলাই সমাজত ন্যায় প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰিব কিন্তু লকে কি কৰিলে সাংবিধানিক কনষ্টিটিউশ্যনেল গভৰ্ণমেণ্ট বা সাংবিধানিক চৰকাৰৰ কথা ক'লে যে আমি তেওঁলোকৰ হাতত ক্ষমতাটো দিছোঁ কিন্তু জনসাধাৰণে সেই বস্তুটো চাব যে যদি এওঁলোকে যিটো ধৰণেৰে আমাক শাসন কৰিব লাগিছিল বা আমাৰ যিটো নিৰাপত্তা ভাৱ লৈ আমি তেওঁলোকক সেই পাৱাৰটো দিলোঁ সেইমতে যদি তেওঁলোকে চলাব পৰা নাই তেতিয়াহ'লে তেওঁলোকক আমি গুচাই দিম আৰু লকৰ কনচেপ্টটো হৈছিলে যে এই চৰকাৰে গ্ৰেটেষ্ট গুড অফ দ্য গ্ৰেটেষ্ট নাম্বাৰ যে বিশেষ সৰহসংখ্যক লোকৰ কেনেকৈ আমি ভাল কৰিব পাৰোঁ গতিকে এই সমাজত গতিকে তেওঁলোকে নিজৰ উন্নতিৰ কাৰণে বা নিজৰ আত্মবিকাশৰ কাৰণে তেওঁলোকে কি কৰিলে নিজৰ সুৰক্ষাৰ কাৰণে তেওঁলোকে এখন সমাজ পাতি তেওঁলোকে থাকিবলৈ ল'লে সমাজত মানুহে কি কৰিলে সামাজিক জীৱন যাপন কৰোঁতে স্বতঃস্ফূৰ্তভাৱে কিছুমান তেওঁলোকে নীতি নিয়ম মানি চলিলে গতিকে তেওঁলোকে দেখিলে হবছৰ পৰা সেই সময়ত বা সেই যিটো ব্যৱস্থাৰ কাৰণে তেওঁলোকে সমাজত সমাজবদ্ধ হৈ পেলাই তেওঁলোকে বসবাস কৰিবলৈ ল'লে গতিকে সমাজখন যাতে সুকলমে বা ন্যায়ৰূপে ভালকৈ চলি যায় তাৰ বাবে তেওঁলোকে কি কৰিলে তেওঁলোকে কিছুমান নীতি ৰীতি নিয়ম কানুন তেওঁলোকে মানি চলিবলৈ ধৰিলে গতিকে মানুহে প্ৰকৃতিগত স্বভাৱ আৰু আদৰ্শৰ ওপৰত প্ৰতিষ্ঠিত ন্যায়কে প্ৰাকৃতিক ন্যায় বুলি ক'ব পাৰি গতিকে মানুহৰ প্ৰকৃতিগত স্বভাৱ আৰু আদৰ্শৰ ওপৰত ভিত্তি কৰি যিখন সমাজত সেইখনকে আমি নেশ্যনেল জাষ্টিচ বুলি আমি ক'ব পাৰোঁ এজন ব্যক্তিয়ে আন এজন ব্যক্তিৰ পৰা যেনে ব্যৱহাৰ পাব বিচাৰে তেওঁ তেনে ব্যৱহাৰ কৰাই প্ৰকৃতিক ন্যায় এজন মানুহে আন এজনক যিটো ব্যৱহাৰ কৰিব সেই ব্যৱহাৰৰ ভিত্তিতহে তেওঁক মানুহজনে ব্যৱহাৰ দিব সেইটোকে এইটোকে আধুনিক যুগত প্ৰাকৃতিক ন্যায় বুলি ক'ব বিচাৰিছে আধুনিক যুগত ন্যায়পালিকাই প্ৰাকৃতিক ন্যায়ৰ ওপৰত ভিত্তি কৰি বহুবিলাক গোচৰ মীমাংসা কৰিছে গতিকে আজি বৰ্তমান যুগত আমাৰ যিটো ন্যায়পালিকা এই ন্যায়পালিকাই সেই প্ৰাকৃতিক যুগৰ ন্যায়ৰ ওপৰত ভিত্তি কৰিয়ে আজি বৰ্তমান যুগত তেওঁলোকে গোচৰবিলাক মীমাংসা কৰি আছে গতিকে বৰ্তমান প্লেটো বা এৰিষ্টটলৰ যিটো কনচেপ্ট বা যিটো ন্যায় ধাৰণা আমি পঢ়িলোঁ সেইটোৰ পৰা আমি এইটোৱে বুজিছোঁ কি যে বৰ্তমান যুগত আমি প্ৰত্যেকখন দেশে কি হৈছে এখন গণতান্ত্ৰিক দেশ মানে বেছিভাগ দেশেই আগৰ যিটো ৰাজতন্ত্ৰ আছিলে তাৰ পৰা বেছিভাগ দেশে কি হৈছে গণতন্ত্ৰক আঁকোৱালি লৈছে আৰু গণতন্ত্ৰ ইমান ছাকচেছফুল হোৱাৰ এটাই কাৰণ যে গণতন্ত্ৰৰ সকলো মানুহকে সমানে চব ক্ষেত্ৰতে সি আৰু অৰ্থনৈতিক ক্ষেত্ৰতে হওক সি ইকনমিক ক্ষেত্ৰতে হওক সি পলিটিকেল ক্ষেত্ৰতে হওক সকলো মানুহকে কি কৰিছে সমান সুযোগ সুবিধা তেওঁলোকে দিব চেষ্টা কৰে আৰু গণতন্ত্ৰত অকল সুযোগ সুবিধা দিয়াই নহয় জনসাধাৰণকো কিছুমান স্কোপ দিছে স্কোপবিলাক এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ যে তুমি যদি কিবা কাৰণে চৰকাৰৰ প্ৰশাসনটো তুমি ভাল পোৱা নাই তেতিয়াহ'লে তুমি কিন্তু মুখ মেলিব পাৰিবা ৰাইট অফ ক্ৰিটিচিজম তুমি সমালোচনা কৰিব পাৰিবা কাৰণ তুমি যদি সমালোচনা নকৰি পেলাই হাতে হাত মিলাই যোৱা তেতিয়াহ'লে তোমাৰ ওপৰত অন্যায় হ'ব ন্যায় নহ'ব হয়নে নহয় চ' গণতন্ত্ৰই এনেকুৱা এটা শাসন ব্যৱস্থা যিয়ে ৰাজনৈতিক বা সামাজিক বা পলিটিকেল জাষ্টিছৰ কথা ভাবে আমি এতিয়া ভাৰতীয় সংবিধানৰ কথা ফালে চাওঁ বা ভাৰতীয় সমাজ ব্যৱস্থাটোৰ ফালে চাওঁ ভাৰতীয় সমাজ ব্যৱস্থাত কি হৈছিলে যেতিয়া ব্ৰিটিছ আমি আৰু একেবাৰে অতি যোৱাৰ কথা নকওঁ আমি ব্ৰিটিছৰ শাসনৰ কথাকে কওঁ ব্ৰিটিছসকলে যেতিয়া ভাৰতবৰ্ষখন ল'লে তেওঁলোকে বেছিকেলি বেহা বেপাৰৰ কাৰণে আহিছিলে আৰু বেহা বেপাৰ কৰাৰ পিছত যেতিয়া তেওঁলোকে দেখিলে যে ভাৰতবৰ্ষৰ যিটো ৰাজনৈতিক পৰিৱেশ পলিটিকেল চিটুৱেশ্যন সেই পলিটিকেল চিটুৱেশ্যনটো একেবাৰে দুৰ্বল আছিলে গতিকে তেওঁলোকে লাহে লাহে পেনিট্ৰেট কৰিলে তেওঁলোক লাহে লাহে ব্ৰিটিছসকলে চল কপটৰ সৈতে তেওঁলোক সোমাই আহি এই পলিটিকেল যিসকল সৰু সৰু ক্ষুদ্ৰ ৰজা আছে তেওঁলোকৰ মাজত এটা মিছআণ্ডাৰষ্টেণ্ডিং বা তেওঁলোকৰ পৰা তেওঁলোকৰ ৰাজ্যবিলাক স্কিলফুলি লৈ ল'লে আমি সেই হিষ্টৰিকেল পাৰ্টটোলৈ নাযাওঁ মই যিটো মই কি ক'ব বিচাৰিছোঁ ইয়াত যে ব্ৰিটিছসকলে যেতিয়া ভাৰতবৰ্ষত এণ্ট্ৰি মাৰিছিলে তেতিয়া ভাৰতৰ যিটো চিনাৰিঅ' সামাজিক চিনাৰিয়ে হওক পলিটিকেল চিনাৰিয়ে হওক বা ইকনমিক চিনাৰিয়ে হওক সম্পূৰ্ণৰূপে বেলেগ আছিলে আৰ্থিকভাৱে আমি সবল আছিলোঁ আমাৰ বহুত নেচাৰেল ৰিচোৰ্চেছ আছিলে সোণে মানে আমি ভৰা আছিলোঁ গতিকে ইকনমি আমাৰ ভাল আছিলে কিন্তু পলিটিকেল ইনষ্টেবিলিটি আছিলে যিটো পলিটিকেল ইনষ্টেবিলিটিৰ কাৰণে ব্ৰিটিছসকলে ভাৰতবৰ্ষত তেওঁলোকৰ অধিপত্যতা স্থাপন কৰিবৰ কাৰণে তেওঁলোক সাফল্য হৈছিলে আৰু ছ'চিয়েল ফিল্ডখনৰ কথা আমি ক'বই নালাগে সামাজিক দিশটোৰ কথা আমি ক'বই নালাগে সামাজিক দিশত আমাৰ কি হৈছিলে একেবাৰে অৰাজকতা বা একেবাৰে অন্যায়েৰে ভৰপূৰ আছিলে প্ৰথম কথা হৈছিলে কি যে আমাৰ শিক্ষা দীক্ষা নাছিলে এই শিক্ষা দীক্ষা নথকাৰ কাৰণে আমি বহুতবিলাক কুপ্ৰথা আমি আঁকোৱালি লৈছিলোঁ আমি নাজানিছিলোঁ আমি নৰবলি দিছিলোঁ সেই সময়ত আমাৰ এটা বিশ্বাস আছিল যে এখন দলং যেতিয়া নৈৰ ওপৰত বনাইছোঁ সেই নৈখনত দলংখন বাৰে বাৰে কিয় ভাঙি যায় তেতিয়া আমি বুজা নাছিলোঁ যে সেইখিনি জেগাত সোঁত বেছি বা সেইখিনি জেগাত অন্য কিছুমান চিছমিকেল প্ৰব্লেম আছে যিটো কথাৰ কাৰণে দলংখন বনাব নোৱাৰি আমি কি ভাবিছিলোঁ যে কোনোবা এজন দেৱ দেৱতা যাক আমি দেখাই নাই যে তেওঁলোক অসন্তুষ্ট হৈছে গতিকে এটা নৰবলি দিলে তেওঁলোকক সন্তুষ্ট হ'ব আৰু তাৰপিছত আমি দলং সাজিব পাৰিম গতিকে এইদৰে এই বস্তুটো কিয় হৈছে যিহেতু আমাৰ শিক্ষা দীক্ষা নাছিলে গতিকে সমাজখনত ৰাজনৈতিক ক্ষেত্ৰত পলিটিকেল ইনষ্টেবিলিটি আছিলে আৰু সামাজিক দিশত বহুত ধৰণৰ আমাৰ কিছুমান অন্ধবিশ্বাস বা কুসংস্কাৰ আছিলে যিবিলাকক গুচাবৰ কাৰণে আমাৰ কোনো ধৰণৰ ব্যৱস্থাই নাছিলে আমি গৰা আছিলোঁ ৰিজিড আছিলোঁ আমি বাল্য বিবাহত বিশ্বাস কৰিছিলোঁ সৰু সৰু ল'ৰা ছোৱালী ডাঙৰ বয়সীয়া মানুহৰ লগত আমি সৰু সৰু ছোৱালীক বিয়া দি দিছিলোঁ আৰু যেতিয়া মানুহজন মৰে তেতিয়াহ'লে তেওঁৰ লগতে জীৱিত মানুহজনীক আমি সেই জুইকুৰালৈকে আমি দলিয়াই দিছিলোঁ আৰু সেইটোকে আমি সতী প্ৰথা বুলি কৈছিলোঁ আৰু যোনে চিঞৰ-বাখৰ কৰিব সেই চিঞৰ-বাখৰখিনি নুশুনিবৰ কাৰণে আমি ঢোল ডগৰ বজাইছিলোঁ এনেকুৱাই আমাৰ সমাজ ব্যৱস্থা আছিলে কিন্তু যেতিয়া ভাৰতবৰ্ষ স্বাধীন হ'ল তেতিয়া আৰু স্বাধীনতাৰ আগতে আমাৰ যিসকল নেতা আছে যিসকল লিডাৰ্ছ আছিলে যিসকলে বিদেশত শিক্ষা গ্ৰহণ কৰিবলৈ গৈছে তাত গৈ তেওঁলোকে দেখিলে যে ভাৰতীয় লোকসকলে যিমানখিনি সুযোগ সুবিধা অধিকাৰ পাইছিল তাতকৈ ব্ৰিটিছসকলে বহুত পাইছিলে আমাৰ সমাজখন একেবাৰে অসমতাৰ ভৰা আছিলে কুসংস্কাৰ অন্ধবিশ্বাসেৰে ভৰপূৰ আছিলে গতিকে এই ব্ৰিটিছ চৰকাৰে যেতিয়া শিক্ষা সম্প্ৰসাৰণ কৰিলে বা এডুকেশ্যন স্প্ৰেড কৰিলে তেতিয়া আমি বহুতবিলাক কথা গম পালোঁ আমি মিল ৰুছ' বেন্থম লাস্কি এওঁলোকৰ লিখনি পঢ়ি পেলাই আমি দেখিলোঁ যে সমাজত অধিকাৰৰ কথা আহিলে ন্যায়ৰ কথা আহিলে এনেকৈ বিভিন্ন ধৰণৰ কনচেপ্টবিলাক আহিলে আৰু তেতিয়া আমি কি কৰিব বিচাৰিছিলোঁ যে দেখিলোঁ যে এখন সমাজক যদি আমি আগবঢ়াই নিব বিচাৰোঁ তেতিয়াহ'লে ন্যায় ভিত্তিত আমি এনেকুৱা এখন সমাজ ব্যৱস্থা স্থাপন কৰিবলৈ লাগিব য'ত অকল পলিটিকেল অধিকাৰ দিলেই নহ'ব ছ'চিয়েল জাষ্টিছো সমানে লাগিব আৰু ইকনমিক জাষ্টিছো লাগিব ইকনমিৰ ক্ষেত্ৰতো মই আগতেই কৈছোঁ যে আমাৰ অৱস্থা খুবেই ভাল আছিল কিন্তু ব্ৰিটিছসকলে কি কৰিলে আমাৰ একেবাৰে মেৰুদণ্ড ভাঙি পেলালে ইংলেণ্ডত সেই সময়ত কি হৈছিলে শিল্প বিপ্লৱ হৈছিলে ইণ্ডাষ্ট্ৰিয়েল ৰেভলিউশ্যন আৰু এই ইণ্ডাষ্ট্ৰিয়েল ৰেভলিউশ্যনে কি কৰিলে তেওঁলোকৰ যিবিলাক কলনিজ আছিলে ইনক্লুডিং ইণ্ডিয়া এই কলনিজবিলাকৰ পৰা তেওঁলোকে সস্তাত বস্তু লৈ গৈছিলে আৰু নিজৰ দেশত তেওঁলোকে এইবিলাক তৈয়াৰী কৰিছিলে গতিকে মেচিন মেড বস্তুৰ লগত হোম মেড বা হেণ্ডমেড বস্তুৱে কম্পিট কৰিব নোৱাৰিলে বা নোৱাৰে গতিকে তাত তেওঁলোকে বস্তু বনাই আনি পেলাই তেওঁলোকে ভাৰতীয় মাৰ্কেটবিলাকত কম দাম মানে ভাৰতীয় মাৰ্কেটত বিক্ৰী কৰিলে বস্তু সস্তাটো পায় সোনকালেও ওলায় গতিকে আমাৰ অৰ্থনীতিটো লাহে লাহে নাইকিয়া হ'ল তাৰোপৰি যিখিনি হিষ্ট্ৰীৰ পৰা আমি পাইছোঁ যে লুটি পুটি যিখিনিতো নিলেই গতিকে ইকনমিকেলি আমাক একেবাৰে তেওঁলোকে চূৰ্ণ বিচ্ছিন্ন কৰি থৈ গ'ল, কমপ্লিটলি নষ্ট কৰি থৈ গ'ল, কমপ্লিটলি ডেষ্ট্ৰয় কৰি থৈ গ'ল। চ' এই গোটেই পৰিৱেশটো প্লাছ আমাৰ যিটো ফ্ৰীডম মুভমেণ্ট, এই ফ্ৰীডম মুভমেণ্টটোৱে আমাক কি কৰিলে, আমাক একেবাৰে হেৰি কৰি পেলালে, ভাঙি চুৰমাৰ কৰি পেলাই বুলি কয় যে, সেইটোৱে হ'ল। গতিকে ভাৰতবৰ্ষখনক যেতিয়া মানে নতুনকৈ চৰকাৰ গঠন কৰিবলগীয়া হ'ল, কংগ্ৰেছ আহিলে, তেতিয়া পণ্ডিত নেহেৰুৰ আগত এটা ডাঙৰ প্ৰত্যাহ্বান আছিলে যে তেওঁ কেনেকৈ এনেকুৱা এখন দেশত তেওঁ গণতন্ত্ৰ এষ্টাব্লিছ কৰিব, তেওঁ ইলেকশ্যন পাতিব লাগিব। আৰু সেই সময়ত বহুতেই কৈছে যে ইলেকশ্যন পাতিবলৈ যোৱাটোৱে পণ্ডিত নেহেৰুৰ কাৰণে তাতকৈ ডাঙৰ মূৰ্খামি। কিন্তু তেওঁ প্ৰুভ কৰি দিলে যে মানুহবিলাকে দে ৰ'জ আপ টু দ্য চিটুৱেশ্যন, তেওঁলোকে সেই চিটুৱেশ্যনটো বুজি পালে আৰু তেওঁলোকে দেখিলে যে এটা ভাল চৰকাৰ, এখন সংবিধান আহিলেহে আমাৰ যিবিলাক আমাৰ সমাজত যিবিলাক অন্যায় আছে সেইবিলাক লাহেকৈ গুচাব পৰা হ'ব। গতিকে এই ন্যায়ৰ আধুনিক ন্যায়ৰ কনচেপ্টটো হ'ল কি যে আমি সকলো মানুহকে পলিটিকেল, ছ'চিয়েল আৰু ইকনমিক জাষ্টিছ আমি দিব লাগিব। যেতিয়ালৈকে মানুহখিনিক পলিটিকেল, ছ'চিয়েল আৰু ইকনমিক জাষ্টিছ নাপাব, তেতিয়ালৈকে মানুহখিনিয়ে কি কৰিব নোৱাৰিব, তেওঁলোকে নিজকে আগবঢ়াই নিব নোৱাৰিব বা সমাজত তেওঁলোকে উন্নতি সাধন কৰিব নোৱাৰিব। গতিকে ন্যায়ৰ এটা জেনেৰেল কনচেপ্টটো হৈছে কি যে যাৰ যিটো পাবলগীয়া প্ৰাপ্য, সেই পাবলগীয়া প্ৰাপ্যটোৰ পৰা বঞ্চিত নহ'লে সেইটো ন্যায়। কিন্তু কেতিয়াবা আকৌ এনেকুৱা হয় যে মোৰ কাৰণে যিটো ন্যায়, আনৰ কাৰণে সেইটো অন্যায়ো হ'ব পাৰে, বা আজিৰ যিটো বস্তু ন্যায় সেইটো কালি হয়তো অন্যায়ো আছিলে, বা কাইলৈ হয়তো সেইটো অন্যায়ো হ'ব পাৰে। গতিকে আমি কি দেখিছোঁ যে সমাজখন পৰিৱৰ্তন হৈ থাকে, সমাজখনত চেঞ্জ হৈ থাকে, আৰু চেঞ্জ হৈছে পাৰ্ট অফ ল, নেচাৰ। গতিকে সমাজ যেনেকৈ ঋতু বদলি হৈ থাকে, তেনেকৈ সমাজৰ বস্তুবিলাকো বদলি হৈ থাকে। সেই চেঞ্জিং চিটুৱেশ্যনটোৰ লগত আমি জাষ্টিছ বা ন্যায়ক আমি খাপ খুৱাব লাগিব। গতিকে আজি যিটো ন্যায়, কাইলৈ কিন্তু অন্যায়ো হ'ব পাৰে, বা মোৰ কাৰণে যিটো ন্যায় সেইটো আনৰ কাৰণে অন্যায় হ'ব পাৰে। গতিকে আমি এটা বস্তুৱে মন কৰিব লাগিব যে এজন ব্যক্তিয়ে কাকো অন্যায় নকৰাকৈ নিজে পাবলগীয়া নিজৰ যিখিনি পাবলগীয়া প্ৰাপ্য, সেই পাবলগীয়া প্ৰাপ্যখিনি যদি পাই থাকে, তেতিয়াহ'লে সেইটো হৈছে ন্যায়। গতিকে আমি আগৰ ক্লাছতো পঢ়িছিলোঁ যে এনচিয়েণ্ট যিটো মানে কনচেপ্ট, চিফেলাছৰ যিটো কনচেপ্ট, মানে যিটো দাৰ্শনিক ভাৱধাৰা ন্যায়, বা চিফেলাছৰ যিটো কনচেপ্ট, বা থ্ৰাইমেকাছৰ যিটো কনচেপ্ট, বা গ্লুকনৰ যিটো কনচেপ্ট, এইখিনি আমি অলৰেডি পঢ়িছিলোঁ। প্লেটৰ জাষ্টিছো আমি পঢ়িছিলোঁ। প্লেটৰ জাষ্টিছত তেওঁ কি বিশেষ বিষয়ে কৈছিলে, তেওঁ এখন ন্যায়ৰ ভিত্তিত আদৰ্শ ৰাষ্ট্ৰ স্থাপন কৰিব বিচাৰিছিলে, আৰু এই আদৰ্শ ৰাষ্ট্ৰত তেওঁ 3টা বিষয়বস্তুৰ কথা কৈছিলে। এটা হৈছে কি জ্ঞান, যিটোক আমি উইজডম বুলি কওঁ, এটা হৈছে কি সাহস, যিটোক আমি কাৰেজ বুলি কওঁ, আৰু এটা হৈছে কি আত্মনিয়ন্ত্ৰণ বা ছেল্ফ কণ্ট্ৰল, আৰু ন্যায়, জাষ্টিছ। এই 4টা গুণৰ ওপৰত ভিত্তি কৰি পেলাই তেওঁ এখন আদৰ্শ ৰাষ্ট্ৰ তেওঁ স্থাপন কৰিব বিচাৰিছিলে। আৰু তেওঁৰ মতে কি হৈছিলে যে যিসকল গুণী জ্ঞানী লোকে আদৰ্শ ৰাষ্ট্ৰৰ পৰিচালনাৰ দায়িত্বত থাকিব লাগিব। গতিকে যিসকল গুণী জ্ঞানী লোক, এই গুণী জ্ঞানী লোকসকলেহে এখন আদৰ্শ ৰাষ্ট্ৰ পৰিচালনা কৰিব পাৰিব। আৰু তেওঁ কি কৈছিলে যে দ্বিতীয়তে, যে যিসকল লোকৰ মনত সাহসৰ প্ৰবৃত্তি থাকে, তেনে লোকসকলে ৰাষ্ট্ৰৰ সামৰিক বিভাগত দিব লাগে। যে যিসকলৰ মনত সাহস আছে, এই সাহস থকা লোকসকলকহে আমি কি কৰিবলৈ দিব লাগে, তেওঁলোকক দেশ ৰক্ষাৰ দায়িত্বটো দিব লাগে। তাৰোপৰি যাৰ মনত সামগ্ৰী উৎপাদনৰ কাৰণে কিছুমান লোকক আমি নিযুক্তি দিব লাগিব, যাৰ মনত সেই লক্ষণখিনি আমি দেখিবলৈ পাওঁ। গতিকে এইদৰে তেওঁ কি কৰিছিলে, তেওঁ সমাজৰ মানুহখিনিক ভাগ কৰিছিলে, আৰু তেওঁ কৈছিলে যে যোন মানুহে যিটো কামৰ কাৰণে উপযোগী, সেই মানুহটোক যদি সেই কামখিনি কৰিবলৈ দিয়া হয়, তেতিয়াহ'লেহে সেই সমাজখনত ন্যায় স্থাপন কৰা হ'ব। গতিকে নলেজ, কাৰেজ আৰু এপেটাইট, এই 3টা কথা কৈছিলে। মানুহৰ মনত জ্ঞান, সাহস আৰু ক্ষুধা, এই 3টা বস্তুৰ কথা কৈছিলে, যে এই 3টা বস্তু বিদ্যমান, এইকেইটা থাকিব লাগিব। আৰু এই 3টা বস্তুৰ ভিত্তিত তেওঁ সমাজখনৰ মানুহক তেওঁ ভাগ কৰিছিলে। গতিকে তেওঁৰ যিটো কনচেপ্ট যে যিজন মানুহে যিটো কামৰ কাৰণে ভাল, তাত তেওঁ দুটা বস্তুৰ কথা কৈছিলে যে এটা আত্মনিৰ্ভৰশীলতা আৰু এটা স্পেচিয়েলাইজেশ্যন। স্পেচিয়েলাইজেশ্যন মানে কি যে যাৰ জ্ঞান আছে সি শাসন কৰিব, গতিকে সেই মানুহখিনিয়ে সেই পাৰ্টিকুলাৰ লাইনটোত তেওঁলোকৰ স্পেচিয়েলাইজেশ্যন থকাৰ কাৰণে তেওঁলোকে কি কৰিব পাৰিব, ভালকৈ প্ৰশাসন চলাব পাৰিব। তাৰ লগতে আত্মনিৰ্ভৰশীল কেনেকৈ, যে বাকীকেইটা গ্ৰুপে আকৌ তেওঁলোকৰ ওপৰত ডিপেণ্ডেণ্ট, যে কোনোবাই উৎপাদন কৰি দিলেহে তেওঁলোকে প্ৰশাসন চলাব পাৰিব, মানে খোৱাখিনি পাব, বা যাৰ সাহস আছে সিহে দেশৰ প্ৰতিৰক্ষা কৰিব পাৰিব। গতিকে এইদৰে তেওঁ স্পেচিয়েলাইজেশ্যন আৰু ইণ্টাৰডিপেণ্ডেঞ্চিৰ ওপৰতো তেওঁ আমাক এটা আভাস দিছিলে। গতিকে প্লেটৰ ন্যায়টোৰ লগত আমি যদি আধুনিক ন্যায়টো চাওঁ, তেতিয়াহ'লে আধুনিক ন্যায়ো এখন সমাজ ন্যায়ৰ ওপৰত ভিত্তি কৰিবৰ কাৰণে প্ৰচেষ্টা চলাইছে। থেংক ইউ।